August 18th school board meeting. And we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so we're going to start
Can
with...
I ask for a point of order from the chair before we start the meeting, please?
You have a question?
Yep. So I noticed public comment is way down. I know you said you discussed it at the end of the meeting on the 11th.
No, we discussed it during the meeting while we were here.
And you have it down on number 6. You have reports. You have continued business, and I'm saying this for the people here. Administrative reports and minutes. I'm asking for a motion. You can leave it number 6 if you want, but I'm asking for a motion to also place it at the beginning for families that are here to speak and are accustomed to the fact that they can come and speak early and get back home.
Okay, so we discussed, what Maria's saying tonight on the agenda. We moved public comment to the middle of the agenda. We did that in order. We noticed when public comment in the past, it was a lot of like, they'd have a lot of questions, or would close public comment and people would have a question, so then would reopen public comment, and we were kind of going back and forth in the last few meetings. And so I had put it in the middle, and that way that whoever wants to speak, they obviously still get a chance to speak, but then we don't have to keep opening and closing public comment.
Right, but it's before resignations, for instance, and there might be somebody here who wants to speak about resignation. Public comments before that.
Right, I don't
so
feel
I'm
public
just
comment should be
asking-
open the entire meeting because we have a
No,
lot
I
of work
didn't
to
say
do.
entire, but you can certainly put it like you do at the beginning and then close it in your 30 minutes, and then if you need to open it at the end, then we can open it. But I think moving that down is really not fair to the people here that did not know that, whether it's staff, whether it's community members, whether it's parents. They're accustomed to being able to come and speak and go home. So I'm just asking for it to be at the beginning as well. You can leave it where you have it as well.
The meeting wasn't posted for people to show where.
Rhonda, this is a board discussion and I'm sorry.
Rhonda, when was the,
I think it's important.
excuse me,
at the
when was the
retreat.
meeting posted?
This meeting was posted last Thursday.
Okay,
But at the same time,
And we all
I'm
discussed
asking to
it.
put it at the beginning. So I made a motion to do that for the people here that are wanting to speak.
okay. Do I
The
have a
rest of the
second
board
on
has a
Maria's motion to move public comment to, number
Well,
3?
not move it, add it at the beginning.
You
And
wanna
then,
add it?
yeah, and then leave what you have at the end if you need it. I'm not trying to take yours away at the end, 'cause.
Does anybody have a motion, anybody have a second for Maria's motion? Okay, so motion failed, the, public comment will stay at number 6 in the agenda.
Yep, and all of you, I apologize, I have to wait all that time.
So, moving forward, we have approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the June 9th regular meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve June 9th regular meeting minutes.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Yep.
August 11th, the minutes from our retreat. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
And I'm asking that those be tabled, Lacey, because they're very vague and a school board retreat is extremely important, and unfortunately, we don't have the video still a week later, so that we could look and make sure everything's in there that is. And there's also a part where it was said that I did not participate in your superintendent skills class, and I did, I just didn't have the paper. You guys had it like the month before for the joint
No,
board.
I didn't, I wasn't on the joint
Well,
board,
Casey
you
did.
chose not to participate in that.
Casey had it, I participated, I chose not to circle, and then I asked the superintendent if I could send it after, and she said I didn't need to, because it's actually just for our information. I have it with me tonight.
It was to set
And I
goals.
did participate, so let's work on getting that video public.
That's fine, but you refuse to participate in
No,
that.
I didn't participate, you participated.
Yeah, I know
I
I did.
participated, we all spoke, we had conversation.
So, for those at home at the retreat, because the video's not out, we
Yeah,
did a, group, kind of like a group challenge to create, some board goals that we'll talk about later tonight. And so what Maria is saying is, are you, because you
Yeah.
didn't,
I didn't,
participate?
no, Lacey, you can't remember me sitting here and having a conversation
Yeah, but
with you.
I'm saying you didn't participate
I passed
in,
over the 5 pick-ins, cause there was a list of like, I don't know, maybe 75 different words such as transparency, accountability.
trust, we're
And
gonna
I
go over
didn't
those
know what
tonight.
5 I would pick out of those, cause there was so many, honestly, probably half of them. But once you guys picked your 5, we had great
We
conversation
did?
over how we were gonna reach. The only
So,
part-
I'm sorry, let me
And-
rephrase that, everybody participated in coming up with 5 words
Yes,
that we thought basically represented the
Yes.
core values,
Yes.
every single person contributed 5 words except for Maria. So,
no,
I'm
I
sorry.
think you don't need to say that.
That was part of the
Why do you
retreat.
always try to reprimand board members, Lacey? I participated.
I've never
Where
said, I'm just trying to clarify,
where-
because you're saying that I'm saying something wrong, and I
No,
just
I'm
want to
saying I
clarify.
participated.
Okay, point of order, let's move on, so
Yeah,
you wanna table the
that's a good
minutes?
idea. Yes,
Okay.
until we get them right.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes, or do we wanna table the minutes as a board?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 11th, 2026 for the retreat.
Do I have a second? Okay, I have a, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for the record, no, because the minutes are not accurate. That's
believe they
my stance.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to administrative reports. So the first is the SAU report, superintendent, student services, and curriculum. Matt, you,
So Meredith is away dropping her daughter off at her first year of college as a freshman. So she did include a report. I just wanna note a couple items from that report. This has been a busy summer at SAU 21. We've had a number of vacancies that we've been recruiting and hiring and onboarding those new members. There's been a number of professional development opportunities. We have summer programs for our students across our districts. And we've also we commenced the year-end audit to close the FY26 books. We are preparing schedules for our schools, our calendars, and planning ahead for our for this coming school year's activities. I also want to note that we are migrating board docs to eBoard, which we're using this evening for all of our school board policies, our school board minutes and documentation. She also wanted to extend her thanks to all of our teachers, our EAs and administrators who did work in the summer for our ESY and summer programs. Additionally, we had our facilities staff on site who did some significant work, cleaning our facilities, changing classrooms, repairing and maintaining our schools. And our IT staff were preparing for this coming year. We always have a lot of work to get our various Chromebooks and technology infrastructure up for the school year. She also wanted to mention we have had or we will be starting our new teacher orientation coming up for any new teachers. And there have been some legislative changes at the state level, one of which is a bullying policy that will be reviewed this evening. Thank you.
thank you, Matt. Any questions from the board? SES principals report.
Do you want the rest of
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Mary,
That's
go
okay,
ahead.
that's all right, she lumps them together,
yeah,
so there's 3 of us there.
Russian.
That's all right, so, thank you so much. I wanna start by just letting everybody know that we had a very comprehensive recruitment process for the Seabrook School District Special Services Director, and we want to give an enthusiastic welcome to Miss Mary Holland as our new director, who's here. She'll be speaking to you during her report shortly. Mary recently completed a postgraduate certificate program for special education administration. She's licensed as a special education administrator in New Hampshire, and she has experience as a special education teacher and an IEP team chairperson. So I also wanna shout out and thank, school board, member, Hashem for, the many interviews that she came to and the support that she gave to the team in order for us to, make that, recommendation. So, welcome to Mary. We had a really successful extended school year program, ESY program this year. We had 19 of the 21 students who were eligible attend 12 days. It was very engaging, individualized learning. The program was great. It culminated in a learning showcase on July 30th. The students proudly shared their projects and their learning with their families. It was very well attended. Great to see so many families celebrating all the students' hard work and growth. And I want to thank the teachers, related service providers, and support staff who facilitated the program with us. And also the Seabrook Parent Teacher Association or organization and Miss Annalise Dunn who helped to organize donations. And I think that Casey also helped organize the donations that provided healthy and yummy snacks every day of the program. So that was really great. There's some information about what is extended school year and the purpose and how we determine annually which students are going to be recommended. And if you'd like to review that, I've given you that information before, but it's posted in the report. And then I just gave you a list of some important upcoming professional learning that we're looking forward to. As Matt said, we do have the new educators who are coming on board Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, we also are bringing the administrators together for Chapter 504 and the intersection of FAPE. All of our 504 coordinators and administrators will be at the high school having that training on August 27th. We are bringing Goalbook back, which helps our special education staff develop high-quality IEPs and implement them with effective, specially designed instruction. That will be happening right here at Seabrook. And on August 28th, we're bringing ST Math, Spatial Temporal Reasoning, back again to more of our staff. And that's a program that helps our students see and understand math behind the lesson. It's a supplemental math tool. Our kids love it. Visual problem solving. And we're hoping that that's very successful on the 28th. And then also on the 28th, SAU-wide, we're bringing all of our educational assistants and registered behavior technicians to the high school for training with Allie Brown. And she's going to be leading a 4-hour presentation on educational assistants as cognitive mediators for all students. And so we're moving from sort of a helper role to more of a coaching role for our EAs, and we're very excited about that training. So that's just a little bit.
I just have a quick question. The math program that you were just talking about, is that like an extra, or is that just another tool to use during math class, or is that
Either. The ST has lessons that teachers can project and do it whole class. Students can also work on it independently. They can do it during a section of their intervention block. It's 10 to 15 minutes a day. Students can do it at home or outside of the school day if they want to. The wonderful thing about it is that it's not language-based. It's all spatial temporal reasoning, so it uses shapes and different kinds of objects to help solve the mathematical puzzles and analysis, and it goes all the way from preschool all the way to algebra. So it's a great program, and we're happy that we were able to bring it back again.
What's it called again?
ST, we shorten the spatial temporal to ST, and we call it ST Math. And it's a little mascot. He's a penguin, and his name is Gigi, J-I-J-I. And so all the kids know who Gigi is, the penguin.
And you had it before, and
We've used it for the last couple of years. We expanded it last year, and we're bringing it back again in Seabrook.
Okay, any more questions? No? Okay, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Shay?
I'll keep it short.
Yeah, no, that's okay, I just completely spaced.
So in addition to my report, which you all have a copy of, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that we've been working on here in Seabrook. One is that work continued over the summer on the Bridging the Gap in the 603 grant. That is the letters training for staff. We are implementing the second stage of that this fall, and that's the actual instructional coaching. As teachers complete their letters training, they'll be eligible to roll in and out of coaching cycles. And so we continue to partner with the state of New Hampshire, and we're really looking forward to that work. And other than that, that's all I have new.
Any questions for Shay?
Any questions?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Now on to the SES principal's report.
I think Mary, Matt, and Shay pretty much
Yep.
read my whole report for me, but one thing that was not mentioned that I'd like to highlight is just welcoming some of the new staff that we've hired so far. It's been a very busy summer for hiring. I'd like to thank Colleen West, our assistant principal, as well as Mary Toomey, who both have helped tremendously with hiring some of these positions. So we're excited to welcome Audrey Duzanis, our new guidance counselor, Mary Holland, who you're just introduced to, our special services director, Cassandra Long, our new BCBA, Maria McCoy, speech and language, Brianna Mancini, our nutrition director, and Rebecca Howland, our head chef. So we're very excited to be bringing those new members to our team. I'd also like to thank our facilities team. The summer is a really hot, sticky time to be working, really long hours, and they work extremely hard. Can't thank them enough. The building looks tremendous. I'm sure you saw when you were walking in just how nice it looks. Very long hours, and just really, really grateful for Peter, Dolores, Costa, Cassie, Bruce, Diane, Ron, and Stefan for the hard work that they put into making our school beautiful and ready to start the year. And I think everything else was already talked about in the previous reports, but just a quick reminder that residency verification is a thing that we do every year. So if you're being asked to do that, if you did it last year, you do have to do that again this year. So if you're getting calls and letters, big thank you to Dee, our front office admin assistant, who has done a lot of work to try to chase parents down. So if you have not yet submitted that information, please do so before the school year. And that's it. We look forward to seeing families on August 27th for our back to school ice cream social at 1:30 to 2:30. And that'll be out on our front lawn like it was last year.
Okay. Awesome. Any questions for Tim? No? Okay. Moving on to SMS.
Like ditto, I wanna say. So we have some new staff, we have a few new staff we'd like to welcome. Anna Luker will be our case manager for grade 5. We have a new RBT, Cameron Gosselin, and then Caden Chatney will be an EA in the middle school. Similar to what everyone else has said, we'd like to thank the staff who worked our summer program. And I'd like to thank Josh because he did a lot of work on formatting our handbook, moving things around, highlighting things, because he knew if I did it, I probably would mess it up. So thanks to him for that. And then to kind of piggyback on what Tim said, Lexi and Heather, we have 105 families that have submitted their registration. 60 have started it but have not completed it, and 56 have done nothing yet to begin, and school starts August 31st, so the 2 women in the office are there to help. I know it's been tricky, some people have been trying to do it on their phone, makes it a little challenging with codes, and you know, they're happy to help, so if we could get that done. And facilities obviously always does a great job in very hot conditions here, with the exception of this room, which is really nice. So we appreciate everything they've done.
That's it. Thank you.
I just have some questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Maria.
I wanted to go back to Tim. I was listening to your list, trying to write it as quick as you were saying it. Do we have somebody filling the music position in the elementary now?
As of right now, we do not.
We do not. And calling for you two, both of you, I guess, on this. So we've had a lot of open positions since, I don't know, May or June, unexpectedly. Total, though we've had 16 or 18.
Not on our side.
Not on your side, I'm talking about altogether. So, I just wanna make sure all those positions are filled. Obviously, the music one has not, and you're going in good with everything full for now.
We're waiting on one, Mary?
We have nomination forms in for the last 2 EA positions. that are open.
Okay,
That's it.
alright. And what are there any plans on what we're gonna do? Cause music's like big on the elementary end.
Yeah, we have a candidate, our committee nominated a candidate that we're, I think, waiting to hear from that candidate's board
Okay.
about whether or not they can get out of their contract.
Okay, alright, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Special services report.
So everyone has pretty much said everything I had on my report, so I'm just going to piggyback on everything they said, and just I'm thrilled to be here, excited to be here, looking forward to a good year with the staff, the students, the families, and just really keeping their learning at the forefront of what we do every day, and making sure they're getting the support, the services that they need throughout the course of the year. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Any
So I
questions?
just have a
Yeah,
question.
if you could step in.
And I don't know whether to say you or, I mean, you're here too, so we had, findings of 21, and maybe I'm wrong on the figure, cause it's, quite frankly, it's been too long. Out of 24 students found not to be receiving the services that they were mandated to receive. As a board, we voted to ask the State Board of Education to do an internal investigation to make sure that the rest of the kids are getting what they need. They decided that the school would oversee that, I think maybe Mary would oversee that instead of actually diving in, and I know Casey had looked at a few places to do the investigation, so just moving into the new year, I think it's very important to let us know as soon as possible that every single kid that has an IEP in this school is being given what they need to be given. And I don't think that conversation should go away until we get, I think it should be early on. We've taken care of what we needed to, and moving forward, we'll make sure that doesn't happen again, and how are we going to do that?
We agree with you, Maria, and I think there's been many lessons learned over the last year and a little bit about our documentation system and the steps that we have taken to ensure that we have good documentation systems. And as we've said many times, it's not that services were not delivered in some cases, it's that we didn't have record of those, but now we have a great system. We just met with Tim and Colleen West this afternoon, talking about making sure that we have training set up for our new staff so that they know the documentation system, and right from day one, that our teachers, our assistants, and all of our related service providers are daily doing their documentation so that we're prepared and ready for all of that information. So we're feeling really good about it. We're also feeling good that we are just about full in terms of some of the vacancies that we had, and we had a great candidate pool. I believe that the candidates that we recommended are wonderful staff. They're gonna be great additions to the school. One that didn't get mentioned is a school psychologist. We've onboarded a new school psychologist, and so really looking forward to having her here with us as well. So I feel like we're really making strong progress, and we're in good shape. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and given all the new people coming on, I think it's even more important
Absolutely.
that, and you say it could be documentation, but as a board member, I don't know that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? As far as I know, that wasn't in the report from the state. It didn't say documentation was the sole problem. So as a board member, I wanna be able to hear, a month or so from now
Absolutely.
that we've caught them all, they were
We
all getting
continue
their
to monitor it.
services this year, and
Correct.
that's never gonna happen again.
Yes.
Cause those kids, who knows how long it went on? We don't know.
Is there maybe Mary, I know it's tough with special education because of all the laws regarding it, but like maybe something, I'm looking at your chart that you provided for us about, the grades that were identified and stuff like that, like maybe like a monthly thing to kind of show the board that like we went through 20 IEPs this month and found that all 20 were being met, or 18 were being met.
We could certainly
Something like
talk about
that
doing
for the
some
board,
spot
like
checks,
monthly.
dipstick. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that way it's
even
keeping
to share
everybody
with staff,
informed.
so
Okay.
that staff is aware that we're doing that dipsticking. I did an internal audit this past April, I think I shared that with the board, and then met with every provider individually. And I think those were very powerful opportunities to kind of share their data with them and see, where we might have any discrepancies if they existed. So the new system is really helping us.
And I wanna go back to that finding, that didn't come because the school said, hey, we found this error. That didn't come because somebody at the state level said, hey, we found this. It came because parents spoke up and they advocated for their kids. And it was looked into and boom, there it was. So I understand the request of, can we have 20 a month that says they have everything? But, and it is special education and there's laws that protect children too. And as a board member sitting here, I wanna make sure those children are protected. And I need to know, not, oh yeah, we got 20 are good. I wanna know factually that is, and I think you're supposed to keep the state updated on those findings as well. So I think when you update them, they could also be a part of whom updates us. Cause I would love to just say, okay, I'll take those 20 kids a month and I'll entrust that they're being taken care of. But right at this point, I am a little bit uneasy saying that I would just be okay with
What's important
just
is that we're looking at the records of every provider, so that
Yes.
we're ensuring that they're not experiencing any glitches or that, you know, that there's any difficulty with making up services. That was something that did get uncovered, is that, you know, how we schedule time in our schedules for ensuring that we have makeup services, something that Mary and I have already started planning for, and we met with Tim and Colleen to talk about this as well, is how we're setting up a schedule whereby teachers will have time in their schedule to get makeup sessions done. But by providing that proactive approach, we think we're gonna be in a much better place this year.
And I would like to piggyback on what you just said, because I've said from day one sitting here, it's not the teachers. They were given bone, next to nothing to work with in many circumstances, and not even enough staff.
Clearly the
whomever's
vacancies
fault. And they
impacted,
tried to do the
yes.
best they could do
Yes, absolutely.
with the staffing and the
Right.
educational piece that those
That's right.
people had.
Yes,
So I'd like
absolutely.
that to be on the record too.
absolutely, no one has ever
They've
faulted
done
the teachers.
everything they could possibly do in the
Absolutely.
classrooms, and I
Absolutely.
truly believe that.
Yep, they're the superstars.
So.
Appreciate that, Maria, thank
Definitely
you.
something for the board to, I mean, I thought we were gonna do a little more than just internally, but I guess at this point it's just internal,
We are, it's on the agenda.
yeah.
Okay, any more questions for, Mary?
No, that's good.
Good, okay, alright, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Finance report.
Thank you, good evening. So I've included the fiscal year-to-date expenditure report on e-board. I'm used to saying board docs.
Yeah.
But since we are only about a month and a half into this current fiscal year, you'll see that many of the accounts are currently showing limited expenditures or encumbrances. For example, you know, many of our employees don't begin their work year until the start of the school year. So many of the salary accounts are not yet encumbered. We're still in the process of creating purchase orders and encumbering other you know, anticipated expenditures that we foresee for the year. Similarly, there is not a revenue report this month, because at this point, we have primarily received only the town's monthly appropriation, so there is no other revenue to speak of. We do expect to begin receiving, and we will start posting other revenue sources shortly. So we will include a revenue report beginning at next month's board meeting. So while the expenditure report does not yet reflect it, I did notify the board earlier this month that we have experienced several unanticipated out-of-district special education placements, as well as some other special education costs that has placed some significant pressures on this current fiscal year. We're currently projecting approximately $400,000 in unbudgeted special education costs. So those are services that we are legally required to provide, and they were not known, or they weren't present at the time that we did budget, back during budget development for.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
I just
Happy
have
to
a
answer
quick
questions.
question. Is the 400K, is any of the, like makeup services for special education, is that a part of the 401k?
No, these weren't for compensatory
Okay,
services.
these are new costs, okay, I just wanted
Can
to,
I
it's
ask a
primarily-
question too while you're on that, Lacey? Go ahead, Matt, and I just wanna ask a question.
Oh, no, I was just gonna clarify that it's, as I noted in the email, it's primarily out of district placement.
So I, as a board member, again, one of my biggest responsibilities outside of our children, is fiscal responsibility. And I appreciate Matt sending a thing saying, hey, we're probably gonna need 400,000, we may have to go to the, who knows, the trust, whatever it may be. And we need it because of special education, I think, because we're in a default budget and it's looking the way it is right now, that we need a little more than that. And nothing, no pun intended at all, but I think when you need 400,000 for out of district placement without a name, because you don't have to name a child, we need to know exactly why. We have a NEAT program, it's costing the taxpayers, I don't know if I said it right, but it's $700 and something thousand in-house now to try to help with that out of district placement cost. It's not working. So I need to know as a board member, are these kids that you're out of district placement, I'll just say the numbers, for 400,000, are they also coming out of that program, or is it in addition to?
None of the 3 students were from the NET program.
So we only have 3 students in that program
No,
at this
it's
time?
3 students that are being placed out of district, and those are.
How many do we have in the program, in-house?
We have 7, currently 6,
6?
and we're anticipating a 7th. 7 is the max that we can have in the program.
Okay, 7 is the
And-
max.
Think of it this way, if we did not have the NEC program, those 7 students would likely be placed out of district. So this is on, this,
Or they may wanna be placed out of district even if they're in that program, and we'd have to do that,
there,
right?
I mean, every student is an individual case, right?
Right,
So, currently, the NEC program is saving the district significant funding, so it's working very well. However, we're not able to service every student in the NEC program. There are different needs, that's for a specific
Yeah,
type of
Disability.
student
Yep.
and disability, but there's some students that need to be placed out of district that
And-
do not qualify.
and I agree with you, and I also have a concern with that program that we're doing in-house because of the findings of our special education students that came out, however many it may be. That program needs to be really watched closely, that we're doing everything we need to be doing because, we don't need that bouncing back as well. And in that program, and with that said, and I should go back to Mary, I hope that we're not only looking at the services that kids should be getting, but I hope that you're reviewing services that maybe they should not be getting, and that we're kind of overkill in some areas. So I just hope you're looking at both sides of that and not just one.
The services that end up in an IEP are there as a result of the IEP team makes
Yeah.
those decisions, with the parent included.
So you meet as
the
a
IEP
team,
team has to
you-
make those recommendations.
You meet as a team right now with each individual parent and their
That's
teachers.
required to meet annually every year. Every 3 years, we're required to do what's called a triennial reevaluation. The first thing that starts is the initial evaluation. That's when we either find eligibility or no eligibility,
Okay.
depending upon how the evaluation comes out. Then we're required to meet annually to review progress for that past year and to write a new IEP. And then every 3 years, we're required to retest the students and then determine whether we need to adjust the service delivery or keep it the same. And that's up to the entire IEP team.
The whole entire IEP.
The whole IEP team makes those decisions, correct?
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think you made a request for additional information, I'm not certain what that information
So,
is, but if you.
I would say, obviously, it's special education, so there's only certain things that we as a board can know. But I think it's important for us to know there's 400, possibly 400,000 that's gonna need to be found. That's what I'll say. And I think, it's nice that we have a bottom budget and money can be shifted from one line to the other. But I also feel strongly that it should be done here and that the board should be absorbing the information and not just saying, okay, leave it all on Matt, let Matt make those decisions, because I think it's important I don't even know if we have a window now anymore for moving, do we even have a window? The board changed that
For what?
for the amount of monies that can be shifted or anything.
5,000, that's why he lets us know.
Is it
It's
5,000?
5,000.
So, okay, so when it's, you know, something as big as 400,000, even if it's broken down in 5,000 increments, I think it's important that we know exactly, okay, this was a special education need, out of place district, this cost of this was X amount, and this is, you know, this is beyond what we can.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. I gave you the exact amount in the email. It was $388,000 and change.
Yeah.
We have other expenditures that bring it over $400,000.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy, I mean, I outlined that in the email, I reported at the board meeting. If there's additional information that you need, I'm happy to provide it.
Yeah.
But I
would
believe
just
I'm
like to
providing the
see
information you
movement
just-
where we're in a default budget and you're saying it's so tight that every meeting that we should discuss, especially when it's that amount of money, cause you don't know, where is that money coming from? I mean, do you know that yet?
Yeah.
What line you cut taken? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, we've essentially have a budget freeze where we're only spending necessary, or expending funds for necessary items to operate the school, but there's no discretionary spending at this point. We certainly have the Special Education Expendable Trust. I had informed the board that we're recognizing some savings on a bus route. It looks like we may have a salary savings for an EA. It will need to be absorbed within the budget and the expendable trust. Those are the two sources.
So the bus routes too, there were conversation, just so the public knows, on email, there was some questions about bus routes. And I had heard it through the grapevine too, not one but two, and Matt clarified it's one. So essentially what you're saying is that the bus area is where some of that money will come from to fund that 400,000.
That's one piece, but this is, we are going to need to find the funding as we go through the year. So we're keeping the budget very tight currently, and wherever we can recognize savings, we will, where it is not impactful to students. And then any differential, then we look at the expendable trust to cover.
Sorry.
No,
You wanna
just
ask
the
a question?
last thing,
Yeah.
just the last thing, did I hear you say that you're not filling an EA position, so that, did I hear that correctly?
It looks like there's a EA position that is not necessary.
It's not necessary,
Yes.
you don't need it, is what you're saying, cause I don't wanna see us again going the way that we're taking those positions out when we've learned, well, we should have learned a big lesson with staffing last
No,
year,
like,
that we need those
so-
people.
so just
But if it's
like-
not needed.
Just like these out of district placements, when we budget a
Yeah.
year in advance, things change, right? So
Yeah.
student needs change, we have students move into district, move out of district. When we had budgeted for this year, we had a certain number of EAs that were necessary to meet our IEP requirements. That has changed since, last fall. So we have one less EA that we feel is necessary. Now that could change in a couple weeks where we
Right.
need the EA, in which case we'll hire it to meet IEP needs. But with special education, it's a moving target.
And I think on my end anyways, I don't speak for the board, we know we're working with a default budget, and it's difficult because you have to make ends meet no matter what they are, but I also feel strongly that before we take money from a bus route, cause at the end of the day, it's the school board that signs that contract with that bus company. I wanna make sure that we know we do not need that bus route, cause last year we had bus drivers come in and say, what are you doing? Overloading the bus with 70 some odd kids, and I think if that's the case, that we also need to look at, do they need that extra person on the bus to help out if there's that, the amount of kids that we're stacking into the run, will that delay, will that mean earlier bus pickups? I mean, that is again our fiscal responsibility, and I thank you for sharing it, but I do feel like those things have to be talked about here. Where are you taking the money from?
Yeah, I mean,
What are you
typically
gonna
it's the
do?
administration's role to kind of manage the budget, and so for example, if we budgeted for 25 books, but we only need 20, we're
Yeah.
only gonna purchase 20,
That's fine.
right? Same thing with a bus, it's no different, if we have a certain number of students with the addresses, and our software indicates that, our recruiting software indicates that, oh, we can do the same route with
Yeah.
one less bus, then we're gonna make that adjustment. Now, if you want, you certainly have that discretion to tell us, well, we want all our routes to be 20 minutes and add a couple buses, we can add. So I'll come to you when we need additional funds, and I'll ask permission, but typically the administration, if there isn't a need to purchase something, we're not gonna purchase it, and there's not a
Right.
need for that additional route.
Right.
So so it's our responsibility to update you and let you know when those
Yeah.
type of changes are occurring. But I think we'd be going down a slippery slope if every time
We're not
we
saying
look at
that
every
though.
budget item that
Right,
isn't exactly what we budgeted a year ago,
Right.
that we're coming to the board and asking like, oh, can we spend less than what we budgeted?
yeah, and I think what I'm saying is you told us you're gonna need probably almost $400,000. So I think that piece of it, I wanna know where it's coming from, that's a lot of money. If you told me that you were saving on account for books and every kid had what they needed, good for you, cause that is what you guys do. But when it comes to needing that amount of money that was not factored in, I think we need to know where you're taking it from, cause I wanna make sure we're not taking it from positions or places that we really shouldn't be. So, and that's me, the rest of them probably are not concerned, but that's up to them to speak up if they are.
Well, we'll certainly let you know if we're reducing anything as a result
Yeah.
of our legal obligation to provide special education services. But that's something I'll absolutely update or ask permission to for if we're
Right.
making a substantive
Yeah.
change,
Like you
right?
have
But
been.
we haven't currently. We're hopeful that we're gonna recognize savings
Yeah.
through the school year. We've been lucky with the bus route and with an open position, we have expendable trust funds. I guess bottom line is we don't know exactly where that money's coming from, but we're looking at everywhere possible where we could potentially recognize
It's
it.
gonna be close, it's
So
gonna be,
it's
yeah, it's tough.
Are you,
Go ahead.
okay, thank you. How much do we have in our special education, trust fund? Roughly.
It's roughly $430,000.
So we have a very small, very, very
So
small
worst case
safety net.
scenario, we could cover it entirely with the trust, but that
But
was
that's a
not,
one-time
a-
deal,
We're
yeah.
looking at-
and that we're in
Okay.
trouble going forward, so.
Yeah.
We wanna keep that balance, as much as possible.
Okay.
I'm not finished with my report, but I was gonna mention that, that fortunately we just finished the closing the books, so we had a few vacancies at the end of the year and changes in special education services, cause it works both ways, right? We can recognize savings as well, so it came in better than expected at the end of this last fiscal year, so we're not gonna need to tap into that trust, which we had anticipated. We had voted to make a withdrawal up to, in case we needed it. I knew we were gonna be right around, that, maybe a little bit below, in the negative. But as it stands, we're not going to need to make withdrawals, so that's really fortunate for us moving into this fiscal year. So we have those funds if necessary, but again, Colleen and Tim do an excellent job in managing the budget and really only spending where necessary. And we're gonna continue that work through this school year.
And
So-
special education can change any day as
Yeah.
well. Okay.
So we always plan for the worst, but it could flip the other way, that we could have students move out of district and we could recognize $100,000, so there's really, it does fluctuate, so. Like I said, at the end of last year, it worked to our advantage a little bit, so.
I think too, moving into the new year, that we can be hopeful, I know as a board member I am, that we're gonna do a better job to try to sustain and keep people here if we can, and not because we want them to stay if they shouldn't, but because if we do a better job and we're performing better and people are saying, wait a minute, you know, maybe this will work, I think we need to do better at that too, and that's not just with the kids, it's with the staff also. We've had too big of a turnover since,
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we are moving in that
Reevaluations.
direction. We didn't have any, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but none of our special education teachers left. We had to fill a new position, right? That's the new teacher, but we have all of our same special education teachers from last year, so we're, you know, it's really moving in the right direction, Maria, so thank you for raising that.
yeah.
Any other questions? No?
Actually, sorry,
No,
I actually
that's
have
not
more on the
finished.
report.
Yeah, no, sorry.
I-
No, you're good.
And we talked a lot about this in conversation, but I do wanna note that, you know, not only do we have these overages, but we are operating under a default budget. And we do have potential unforeseen costs that could come up in this fiscal year, so you know, we're very cognizant that there could be, you know, building maintenance or repairs that need to be addressed. There could be student service needs, there could be you know, student enrollment changes that require, you know, additional special education services. So we really are operating with a lean operating budget, and accordingly, I referenced it, but I just wanna make it very clear that we are really exercising increased caution with our spending this year. And we have implemented district-wide spending restrictions. We are limiting our spending to just non-discretionary essential items that are necessary for our operational and instructional needs. So like I said, Tim and Colleen they're working with their teams to ensure that wherever we can possibly save. Now, so I'm sorry I can't give an exact, like, we're gonna save here, but or in this line item, but they're gonna, as we go through the year, they're gonna take a close look at exactly what can be reduced or what needs to be spent as we go through the year. So I will also note that we did have our auditors come in August, so they did conduct or commenced our annual audit. That's Plosick and Sanderson. They were on site for approximately a week and a half. They reviewed all of our policies, all our invoices, POs, our control measures, and they will have preliminary audit results likely for our October school board meeting, which I'll report back on that.
Okay.
However, based on that initial work, I can note that we were positive at least, so I know we won't need to go into the expendable trust, so.
On
That's
that
good
point
news.
right there, Matt, could I ask you a follow-up question?
Absolutely.
On the audit, cause we know it was also brought up that, and I don't know how to say this, so I'll just say it, but we had Medicaid billing questions, whether we were billing for services not actually rendered. And did they look at that to make sure that, you know what, that piece is okay too? All the billing was done properly and the collections and this was the revenue? Do they look at that, or is that just something internally?
We can't bill for services that are not rendered because there has to be documentation of the service. We may have lost out on services that we could have been seeking reimbursement for because we didn't have the documentation. But that system on that side is run by the Department of Health and Human Services, it's not even the Department of Ed. That system is extremely, by the letter and to the book. So you can't request a reimbursement for a service that you don't have the full documentation of, including the order. All of that has to be submitted. So if anything, we lost out on the other end for having missing documentation, right? But never did we submit anything for reimbursement where we didn't have the documentation. we have to have the documentation.
And I'll note that in my 10 years here, and I can't speak to prior to my tenure, we've never had a material weakness or deficiency in our financials, so.
And then the other piece of it is too, with that, where we are on a default budget and we are scraping and we're trying to get by to provide what we need to. I guess my question is, we had brought up, I don't know, 2 years ago, a year ago, and then again, are we looking at possibly being able to bill not just Medicaid, but private insurances for services that have to be done here? Are we looking at that, or
I believe the
is-
superintendent had looked into that, came up earlier, at one point, and I think that she reached out on the state level to see what the recommendation was about doing that, and it's very unusual, on the state level to bill private insurance, and the problem with that is that you essentially could be making the district liable for when a family reaches their deductible, or they don't reach their deductible and they're maxed out their insurance benefit because we're seeking reimbursement from their insurance. And then we could essentially be liable for that family who needs medical services but now can't receive them. I think I'm explaining that correctly, Matt. That's what I remember from the conversation that we had with the superintendent when she looked into whether that was feasible. We didn't find another district that was doing that in the area.
I think, if I could get something in writing too from Meredith, obviously she's
Sure.
not here.
Yeah,
Cause I
we can
think
ask her.
it's very important if we can bill Medicaid, I don't understand if there's large costs, why we could not bill other insurances. I almost feel like it's sort of biased in a way that we're only charging that one insurance company when there's the insurance companies worth billions and billions of dollars that we are spending taxpayers' dollars, and we could recoup that at some point. I just wanna see something in writing that we can't do it and this is why.
So we'll bring it back to
Cause
the
I'm
superintendent.
concerned with that. I
Sure.
think that's probably another huge way to at least recoup some of the monies being paid out, and obviously we have needs.
Sure.
So, thank you.
You good? Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
I
Is that
think that's it for me.
Okay,
Okay.
alright. I don't think you're off the hook though, cause you're filling in. So, up next, we have on the,
Federal grants update?
yes,
This is-
okay, that's you, Shay, thank you.
I took all the quick and easy ones.
I like
I
that.
left the tough stuff to that. So the federal government sent out just a notice, an update to our federal grant awards. It does not require us to do anything, we don't have to vote on anything. It was just, I believe the superintendent has to go in and in the platform acknowledge the receipt of each of the grants. And the update has been attached to board docs. So if you have questions, I can answer the questions, but there's no policy or practice changes in it. It was just informational.
Okay, any questions for Shay? Thank you. Okay, next up is, internal, external investigations, and so Casey, I'm gonna, so that you can introduce.
So we previously had discussed, originally starting with having an external agency come in and review the files. As time went on, it seemed like it would behoove us to get more information around what's out there for external support in supporting our special education programming. The board at our, I think it was our June meeting, discussed having someone come in, from SCTS, to do.
What is that? Can you give the full name?
Yep, I can.
Thank you.
It is Strategic Collaboration Training Systems.
Strategic collaboration.
Calibration Training Systems. And so in doing so, the board had asked me to reach out, and so Dr. Frank Vicente is here to give a quick overview of what his agency could offer, and the hope is to provide not just the board, but the community with some information, and that perhaps this is something going into our next fiscal year that we could incorporate into our budget to help support and shore up some efficiencies in our special education program.
Do you know what that amount of money would be for that?
Well, Frank's here just to give us some information. And he's right here.
Thank you, Frank.
Good evening.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you again, Ms. Ashton. Members of the school board, my name is Dr. Frank Vicente.
Can you spell your last name for me?
V as in Victor, I-C-E-N-T-E.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I am an educational consultant. I am the co-owner of Access Consulting and Training, and I do professional networking and partnerships with strategic calibration and training systems. So SCTS is a national company that does different levels of professional learning, PD work, consultation, coaching, and a variety of different things in the space around IEP coding, program reviews, some corrective action work, a variety of different things that we do. We are a national company, but I am New England based, so I oftentimes do consultations with them and work with them that are things that are local here, as I live here in Southern New Hampshire. Just a little bit of my background. I've been in special education in a variety of different roles for the better part of the past 30 years. Been a special education director. I've had some administrative roles with the Boston Public Schools, with Lowell, Massachusetts, with Lawrence, Massachusetts, and more recently I've started doing some administrative work for the Nashville School District here in New Hampshire. So in speaking with Ms. Hashem to understand some of the needs around Seabrook, and I want to just say that if we are to engage in this work, we'll take the time to reach out to your community, to your new leadership, and whoever is relevant to be able to give us a little bit of snapshot background. But what it sounds like we're talking about is there's some questions, as I understand, around some IEP services, potentially reviewing some of your programmatic needs. And so what we would do is we would do some internal interviewing and really kind of narrow down the scope of what we've done, what the needs are. So some of the things that we've done most recently is we've done some IEP coding for districts. So we would take a snapshot of IEPs. Most recently we did one where we looked at 200 IEPs per district and went through a coding process and then gave some third-party feedback as to what we saw as far as patterns of what's in the IEPs and what does that mean for service delivery. We've also gone in, done some observations specific to programs, looked at criteria people have for entry around service delivery, instructional models, and then been able to give some consultation and feedback in those spaces. Separate from that, we do quite a bit of coaching and consultation for some of our districts. As I said, they've had corrective action specifically from their state bodies. So we worked with the states, we worked with the district to understand what those were. And then through some of these audits, we've then prepared some professional learning to make sure that we support the districts in meeting the criterion that the states are looking for to be able to work forward and think about the best ways that they can support out the work for their students. Everything we do is fundamentally based in IDEA and state regulations. We want to make sure that we're always working from the space of faith and LRE and try to help school districts to be in the best position possible to make sure that their schools have the things that they need so their classrooms are equipped so that ultimately students and families have the best learning experience. So I'm happy to answer any questions for you guys.
Are there any questions from the board?
Just, Casey, particularly, how did you find this service?
We discussed at a meeting that we
Who's we?
us.
Okay, no, I mean, how did you find them in particular?
We discussed at a
Yeah.
meeting that we were all gonna do some research
Yeah.
and bring it back to the next meeting. So I did research, I found, I think it was 6 different agencies
Yeah.
that did this. I met with somebody or talked to somebody via Zoom or in person, somebody from each of those agencies. We came back, I presented those findings at one of our board meetings. We all decided that this seemed most aligned with our needs. The board tasked me with reaching out, here we are.
Do you have any idea of the cost, roughly, what it would be for a district and like ours to be able to do that?
So I would need to get some more information directly from the district around that. Typically what we do is we'll go through a process, we'll align and assess what the needs are and the ask of the district. We'll put together a proposal of the different structures of the different levels of work that we do, and we try to tailor things and really align with what you're looking for. I think one of the benefits to us is that we have pretty expansive partnerships We have teachers, we have administrators, we have related service providers, we have school psychologists, a variety of different folks that work with us in different facets. But first and foremost, we really want to have an extensive conversation about what you folks are looking for. And then through that process, we would talk about like what the budgeting process is, what the scope of work is, what the timelines for, what the deliverables are that you're looking for. And from that space, then we would engage in the conversation around budgeting.
Because budget season is coming quickly.
Yeah, and I'll just say to your point, you know, in talking with Ms. Hashem, I know that you guys are still sort of in a planning phase. And so in speaking with her, one of the things that I had said to her is like, well, I'm happy to come tonight and just give you a little bit of info about who we are. And then you guys can be in the best position to make an informed decision, right? It sounds like you guys have some really important work that's happening here. Obviously, it's very valuable to the community, so I would want you guys to do what you feel is best for the community of Seabrook. But we're here to help. You know, I mentioned to Ms. Hashem, outside of this process, like I've just been in this field for a long time. I love the work, and so like I'm happy to be a thought partner to anybody engaging in any of this work. But I'm hopeful that the team would have more questions, be it now or later, and we can find the best ways that we could potentially support you guys to continue to move that work forward.
Thank you.
Frank, have you mentioned you have worked with a school prior that has been kind of in a similar situation that we're in?
Yep.
What did that look like? Did you go in and kind of for support, or was it an investigation? Like, how did you work with the school?
Sure, so I gave us a work sample to Ms. Hashem of the district that we worked with, who received corrective action from the state. So they had a letter of findings, so we went through, met with their administration, went over that letter of findings, and then mapped out a plan from there. The plan there was to do first a series of IEP coding. So we reviewed random sampling of about 200 IEPs, went through, looked at the content of the IEPs, looked at the structures of the meetings, and then gave feedback as to what we saw in terms of just patterns, right? So just third-party data that was not presenting any type of judgment as to what happened in the meeting, but just what was reflected there, right? To give them some feedback. We also then looked at some targeted programs within the district and had some conversations. We did classroom visits, we did observations, we looked at the tools that they were using. We looked at the curriculum. We met with different stakeholders. We worked with school staff, we worked with some parents, we worked with a variety of different folks to just really understand everybody's collective understanding of what was happening in those different spaces, and then wrote up a report that again was just reflective of the findings that we had based on the conversations, based on the observations. And then from all of that, we put together a comprehensive report to talk about like what could all of this mean with regards to state regulations, with federal regulations, and then potential considerations for recommendations. And the recommendations are always going to be really suited towards, one, what the district is looking for, and two, in a way that's truly impartial, because it's not necessarily our role to come in and tell the district, this is how you should be running your school district, right? This is what IDEA says, this is what the New Hampshire regulations say, this is what's historical practice in different spaces, these are some research-based methods. And also too, thinking about what do you have here, I think that's a really important thing. So being in this meeting, I got super excited. I heard you guys are doing some work with letters, which is fantastic. Really strong research base to that with reading. ST Math is awesome. I know ST Math very well, another great research-based program, and I love the fact that it removes the language and the math. Goalbook, I've been working with Goalbook for a long time. So as I go into districts, I try to look for opportunities in the district to think about like, what do you already have in place? Because as we think about working with teams in special education, we talk a lot about making data-informed decisions. And part of that is answering the question is, where's the readily available data? Because school districts and schools in general are naturally data-rich communities. It's really what we do. And so just helping people to think about how they can maximize their potential in those different spaces and offer the recommendations that are really rooted in what does the law say, what's available to you for research-based and evidence-based practices, and what's happening to help you to move forward. So for us, it starts with getting the information, kind of establishing where you're at. With corrective action, what are the findings from the state? What, from the governance, what are they looking for? Working to define a plan to make sure that all those things are addressed. Usually it's an investigative part, And then there's some corrective action that's in the way of professional learning. So we have done both of those, but we would kind of want to work with Seabrook as we would with any other district to think about what components you would be looking for from us, whether it's all of it, whether it's some part of it, but how do we best equip you folks here to be able to put your district in the best position possible?
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Just a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You had mentioned that you worked in the Lowell, Mass, school in Lawrence. Was that recent or?
Yeah, so I started my
Because that's
teaching
pretty
career.
close to us.
Thank you. I started my teaching career in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I was there for a number of years before I transitioned to teaching with Lowell High School, started at Lowell High School at the Lowell Public Schools. I spent the better part of almost 20 years with Lowell. I started there as a teacher, eventually I worked my way into central administration, and I served as their special education director for a number of years. I loved Lowell. I loved my career there. I have a son. He grew up, and as he became a little bit more independent, I started to sort of think about my expansion, and I was afforded an opportunity through recruitment to join the Boston Public Schools. So I transitioned to the Boston Public Schools, and I was there for about 3 years. I served as their Deputy Chief of Instructional Services, and continued to build out this partnership that I do in the different areas of consultation. Boston was a wonderful experience, but I live in Southern New Hampshire. My life is in Southern New Hampshire. And I made a both professional and personal decision to look at an opportunity closer to home and work in my home state. I had been doing some different levels of consultation work for the Nashua School District, and they had talked to me about an opportunity to work directly in Nashua. So that's currently where I'm based out of. In my life outside of consultation, I do professional work for Nashua now. And then I continue to do this consultation. Most recently, we've been blessed enough, myself and my colleague Alexis Florence, who couldn't be here tonight. We're based mostly out of New England, as I said, but we've done some work in Long Beach, California. We're on some different strategic teams that are working with some districts right now in Colorado. We do a lot in Massachusetts, where our base is at. We've done some things in Maine and Vermont. And I'm just super excited to be connected back here in New Hampshire. I've been living here for a long time, so it's super cool to be able to get back to my own state.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you so much. You guys have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. You've given us so much information and
Thank you,
stuff
Casey,
to
too.
think about. Yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming here.
Yeah,
Yeah, anytime, please. I want you guys to do what's best for you, to
Right.
include that if that doesn't include us, but I love the work. I've been in on for a long time. I'm sure I'll cross paths with your staff here now in New Hampshire at some point, and always happy to be a thought partner.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
You bet. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I think he gave a lot of great information. I love that he's it seems like he's more collaborative versus like I'm going in and I'm ripping apart your files and I'm doing this. Like he's more collaborative, and it sounds like he's like a third party professional, another set of eyes to kind of
Catch us up, make sure we're where we need
just
be.
to a second set of eyes, so I think we have a lot to think about. We would have to, if we did decide to go that route, we would have to kind of come up together, and I think that's something that should be discussed like with the board, but also I think administration, because they're the ones that are gonna have to open their books, or they're the ones that are gonna be having to do all the work really, cause we should have a conversation on if we are gonna do this, what our goals are to come out of this.
And the cost, obviously.
Right, and then we would need to come up with something in order to come up with a cost. So if we wanna have some homework for next month and kind of, I don't know, how does everybody else feel on the board?
I think it's obviously not gonna be overnight because we're in a default budget. And then going forward, if we could put it in the budget or as a warrant article so that parents could vote on it, if it's something that we could do.
Right.
I mean, I think it definitely, like you said, another set of eyes is, and more support for that area could be good.
I think Lacey too, if I could just add to that, for me, election in March is just so far away, and I would want, I mean, we do have all that money sitting, $430,000. I don't have any idea what this would cost. But I think that in our situation, that we could possibly, we don't know this, have 121 kids that didn't have what they needed, but do now, according to Mary. I think that I would like to see us move and get a cost to this, and if it's $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever it may be, and Matt can pull that money from the fund, because I don't want another year to pass that not one, never mind 120, not one student that goes by the wayside and doesn't get the services for learning. So I don't know if we can,
I
but
was just gonna ask now.
if we could get a
I
preliminary
think
cost, it
to
would be
clarify,
really
though, that-
helpful.
that they get in the services, but the documentation is not being documented.
We don't
That's what
know
we were
that, I
told.
wish that was the only reason, I know we were told that, and I hope it is, but that's why we've gone to this extent, to make sure, the extra person. So to wait another year, I think, just would be really a disservice, and I don't wanna get another year from now and have the state say, hey, we ended up looking and there's actually 40 or 50, and those kids go all year long without that, cause one little piece of their IEP missed could cause them to have behavioral issues, could cause them not to wanna be here, to cause them to act out. I mean, there's so many things that come, and then most of all, they're not learning because they don't have all those pieces, and I don't wanna wait. And so I don't know if the rest of the board feels we can at least get a cost, preliminary cost to what it would be for our district.
Right, that's what I'm saying, we have to come up with what we want in order to get that cost. So
Right.
in order for him to give us a quote, we have to come up with what we're looking for.
It's a scope of work.
Yes, and then I am nervous about tapping into the special education trust fund because of what we just heard about how these things just pop up and we're,
Having to start at school.
Right.
yeah, I just get nervous about grabbing out of that.
Yeah, we all do, it's like having to take out an extra 5,000 out of a, savings account, knowing that we have this and this and this coming up. But I think for the fact that we have legitimate concerns, parents, kids, staff, that we really, I think that money out of that fund would be well spent, and maybe it's only 10,000, maybe it's 40,000, I don't know. So we'd have to kinda look at that, and maybe have an extra meeting to kinda meet with this gentleman and our administrators to say, okay, what is the scope of the work, what are we looking to see? And maybe he can give us a preliminary cost. He must have some ideas. He's
Yeah, we
done
have to
it
come up with a
before.
scope of work, so,
Yeah.
I think it's important to see what we need to have this conversation with admin as well.
Right, and he may have that scope of work to give to the board and admin to say, hey, this is what we've done before, this is what it looks like, what are your needs, do you feel like this would meet those needs? He may already have that type of thing. Sound pretty informative, so, I don't wanna see another school year go past, and I know we have new people on and they're gonna do their best to, fix all this. But another set of eyes outside, I think, to assure the community and, everybody that we're doing
Right.
everything we can
I-
to help with this.
I understand that, I understand your
I
position
appreciate it.
100%, so I think we should get working on a scope of work, and we should sit down with admin,
And see if it's even feasible,
or if
or
If
what
it would
is,
even-
what is feasible.
what is
Yeah.
feasible, what would work best for our district, and we also have to think about, I think when we brought this up, I don't know which meeting it was, if it was May or June, but we brought that up, and I think one of the administrators, or maybe one of the special education teachers said, we're kinda, or maybe it was you, Mary, that was like, we're already pulling the files, like, so we're already behind because the day is already planned out and you have to hit all your marks throughout the day, and then on top of that, they're pulling files and stuff like that. Someone had said it, so like we wanna make
Yeah.
sure that we have the personnel to be able to have the time in order to do that, cause I don't know if that's something that, he would be able to do, cause obviously he couldn't just grab access to our
Right.
information, so I think that's something to think about as
I
well.
think a meeting with administration with him would also be helpful, because then they can ask him those questions, you know, what's the time look like, how many people, cause we don't have any of those answers. And I feel like it should be a board initiative from here. Casey did a lot of groundwork finding somebody, and, I think the board all needs to be on board with what's happening with the administration and him, if we were to hire him.
So I can reach out to Meredith and see
Yeah.
if we can schedule a special meeting,
Yeah,
and we can discuss it there.
yeah,
But I would ask that everybody in the meantime have some sort of idea of what you're looking for as an individual board member, so that when we come together, we have, our homework. I mean, if
Yeah.
we're looking for things and it's already being done, it's important to
Yeah.
kinda hash all these things out, so,
okay.
so we'll do
Yeah.
some homework, and then I'll reach out to Meredith to try to schedule a special meeting. I think that would be appropriate. Okay,
Right.
the next one on the agenda was, exit interviews. I think, Maria, you had me add that.
Yeah, I have been asking for this since it was, the board decided no longer to do it. And I did it for the very obvious reason. I didn't wanna be sitting here tonight saying, geez, we've lost so many since the nomination list came out to today, and what can we do better? Because retention's been a problem. I mean, at one time, we grew up to 39 over a few years' time, and then we said as a board, what can we do better? Lacey, you were a part of that, Jen was a part of that as well. Early on, when we first got on the board, what are we gonna do? And 22 meetings later that year, one of the things we did was open our door to people that were leaving, because you get that with, we're resigning, we decided this is better for us. And then you get behind closed doors, and the stories that were coming from our staff could not go ignored. So as a board, it held accountability to everybody, to ourselves, first and foremost. It held accountability to the administration, and it showed that staff that we want you here, we wanna keep you, we don't want you to leave, what can we do better? And that following year, we had 0 leave, 0. A year later of no longer deciding we're not gonna, do exit interviews or offer them or whatever you wanna say, we're up to, when Meredith was here, I confirmed 14 or 16, and we have 2 more. So I'm not sure the correct number since the close, but it's too high. And yeah, maybe there is reasons, people resign, they move, they go on. But the board only knows what they see on that piece of paper. And I really feel that those exit interviews were a learning curve for us to be able to go back and say, hey, this is what we really need to watch and do better with, and hold accountability. And we're going to do that. And now I think it's kind of just, the staff leaves and they're gone, and that's it, and they don't really have that outlet anymore. And it's not even that some of them wanted to stay, it's that they shared with what we could have done better. And now it's kind of just, we're not involved in that at all. And I think it's sad to see so many people leave. I want people to stay here. And I want, the retention is huge for everybody, for the learning, for the kids. Every time you start a new year over with new, it can be good, but it is a big challenge. So that's just my piece of the exit interview, and I would ask all 3 of you, again, if there is somebody that has left or leaving that would like to speak with the board, are you still not interested in doing that? And I'll start with Casey.
Well, you can make a motion to bring back exit interviews, or
But
do you
no,
want
I'd
all
like
us
to
to all
ask you-
explain why we don't want, or we want
I just
exit
wanna
interviews?
ask you
I
if
leave
you're
it
at
up
all
to the
interested.
administration.
So you're a no,
So I'm a no,
I don't feel it's
oh,
part of our job.
okay, that's all right.
No, I don't see the requirement for the exit interviews for staff. I haven't received since I've been chair a request from a staff member
We
for
wouldn't, cause we stopped
for an
doing it.
exit interview, right, but if a staff, I haven't received a,
Inquiry.
right, I haven't received inquiry, I haven't even received an email from a staff member stating, you know,
wanted
that
to
they,
eat before they leave.
or even a complaint, from a staff member.
I haven't either.
Staff, people are always able to email us at any time, so if I feel like if a staff member felt unjust, there's obvious ways to go about certain things, but I haven't even received a complaint or an inquiry, so I would
Every
say,
staff member who leaves is offered an exit interview through
HR.
HR,
That's
just so that
HR's
you're aware.
Right.
So, I mean, that's different than
It
board
is
exit
different
interviews,
from the
but
board,
just so that
that's
you're
what,
aware.
exactly.
So,
Yep, so
So,
you
yeah,
never know,
I'm gonna
and
know.
Casey.
I think it is an HR thing. If you think of the school as a business, that's
Right.
part of their role is to manage that. Coming from a people business, our leadership team did not conduct exit interviews. That was our HR's department. It's a neutral party, and that's just kind of part of their role. They're trained in the right questions. I think that if you don't have proper training, conversations sometimes can go a direction that can lead to something that we're not familiar with, that could then open legality or conflicts or things that we're not prepared to manage, and I think that's, human resources is trained to manage that.
okay,
I agree.
alright. Anything else from the board regarding exit interviews? No? Okay. We're gonna move on to school board retreat follow-up. Okay, so we have a couple options, so we met last Tuesday for our school board retreat. We met with, it was us four, Jen was absent, we met with Colleen and Tim and Meredith, and Rhonda, and we talked about, setting some goals for this year. And so there's two different mission statements here. I didn't know if you guys had a chance to read them, and if it was something that you guys wanted to, adopt today for the mission statement.
So I was only able to get in, I think it was 2:30, whatever time I sent you the email, it was late this afternoon, I don't know why I could not get the attachments, but being a new system, I finally figured it out, it was just a little late in the day, so I haven't had a chance to go over those, but I'd like to take a step back, to that retreat. And if I am speaking out of turn or incorrectly, Lacey, feel free to correct me on it, but I did find the paper that was given to me that evening, and there is over 117 words that we were asked to pick 5 out. Casey and Michelle had already been to the joint board meeting, so they were able to, I think Casey had hers already done from that. It was a lot of words. So I had shared on my side of my paper things that weren't on here. There was 4 of them. And I said I would send it to Meredith. Well, Meredith said, oh, you don't need to do that. But the concern I have with that board retreat is, to me, it was kind of backwards. Because usually a school board will meet and they'll talk about the year and the goals and what they're looking at with their goals. And then bring it to the administration, so the administration has time to see it. Then they would come and meet with us and talk about how are we gonna meet those measurable goals. In this case, that didn't happen. Lacey had met with Meredith, went over kind of the scope of, I don't even know what this was
No.
called.
I met and said,
Yeah.
scheduled the retreat, we did not go over the scope of that, we
And,
never saw that.
I guess this
before.
was something the joint board did. So we were kind of piggybacking on it. During that meeting, we came up, I think narrowed it down to 6 and then 5 words that we felt could be incorporated into something, which again, the superintendent was asked to do, not the school board. And it's, you know, that's just a little confusing to me. And so, can I
Go ahead,
just
yes, you can finish,
And
yes.
so, I just feel strongly that as a board, we should be leading that piece of it. It should come from us, and I know that you had said, no, Meredith will draft it up. Cause initially, we were just gonna use the SAU 21 verbiage, and I said, wait a minute, shouldn't we have our own? And so I haven't had a chance to review that yet tonight, and I will review it, but that is my take on how we got there that night, and it was very different. I went and looked at Hampton Falls, Northampton, Exeter to try to find a board retreat where the superintendent leads the way on that, and I couldn't find one. The school board does their retreats, sets their goals. So maybe it's just
We're all
different.
trying to work together
Yeah.
cohesively, so I think it was just a starting point of what we did at the joint board, and it was everybody thought it was very helpful from
Yeah.
all the other boards, that we went through this process to see where we all wanted to be aligned.
Yeah.
So, with you suggesting that it was the superintendent, I think we all need to work together instead of being, oh, it's the superintendent, oh, it's Michelle, it's
The
Lacey's not
superintendent's
agreeing
like the
with me, and this
She
person's
right.
not agreeing with this person.
Okay.
It's just trying to work
Yeah.
everything out so that we can work it out together.
So
Yes, so it is.
I don't wanna waste too much time on this, back and forth, but, the last year's retreat, Meredith was there and helped run the meeting. The retreat before that, it was a public meeting, Meredith and all administrators were there, so this is not the first retreat
Just
that,
Meredith, right?
at the last meeting.
The last year retreat
Yep, and
was
then the year
Meredith
before that was
only.
all administrators were there, including Meredith. So this isn't the first retreat that we've had that administration has been there. So that's one. Two, this was piggybacked off of the joint board's goal setting. I was not there either, Maria, so I didn't see this, I didn't know
Yeah.
about it either. This was basically a
Exercise.
thank you. It was an exercise for us to see individually, meaning the 4 board members that were there, the 2 administrators, Colleen and Tim, as well as Meredith, to see what everybody's goals were. So she gave us that sheet of 100 and some odd words.
That's a lot.
Whatever, circle 5 words. I did it in like 30 seconds of bing, bang, boom. And then we all read out, everybody that did it read out their 5 biggest words: growth, trust, integrity, things like that. We wrote them on a board, old school style, and we all kind of, after we had our 25 words, because there was some overlap, we kind of pinpointed it as a whole on what we're looking for. So that was what you were talking about. So you didn't have your words ready,
No, I
and
didn't.
so it was, but you, yeah, so.
But I did participate.
So that's basically, that's what happened. So
Yeah.
it wasn't Meredith's meeting, it wasn't run by the superintendent, it was an exercise for us all to be on the same page in order to see what our goals should be. And so Meredith said that with all of our goals, she asked if we were gonna come up with a mission statement, or should she, and she
Yeah.
said she could do a couple, and if they weren't to the satisfaction of the board, that the board could come up with their own mission statement.
Yep, and I agree with you, and I
Yep.
would go back to say to you, unfortunately, Jen, due to work issues, could not make tonight or the last meeting.
Yep.
And I think before we lock it in, that it would be nice to have all 5 of us sit together and say, yes, that's our goal and mission. I think she should have an opportunity, cause it's kind of been outside of her availability at this point. And I don't see that doing that at our next meeting or the meeting that you're having with the gentleman coming back.
Wait, you don't see us establishing
No,
goals?
no,
until-
that it would be a problem if we had to wait for the next meeting.
Well, unfortunately, if you don't go to the meeting, it's like,
Well, she didn't not go, she couldn't go, and I think that she's been on the board quite a while. And I would like to hear her feedback on what it is that you have to present. But that's up to you 3. Again, I just wanna be inclusive of the board so that we can all kinda say we're gonna do this together. But it's up to you.
Do we wanna read these?
yeah, if you want to
Yeah,
read them out loud,
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So, our values that we discussed and agreed on were growth, responsibility, integrity, community, and trust. So, these are sample mission statements that we could adopt as a board. The school board is committed to serving our students, schools, and community with integrity and developing mutual trust. Through respectful and collaborative leadership, we intend to cultivate an inclusive and compassionate community where every student has the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed. We will hold ourselves accountable for ensuring safe schools, strong student growth, and responsible financial stewardship while making decisions grounded in the best interest of our students and community. Another potential option. The school board serves our students and community with integrity and responsibility and builds trust by fostering an inclusive and collaborative environment where all students can grow and succeed. We are accountable for safe schools, student growth and achievement, and responsible financial stewardship. Our decisions are made in the best interest of students and community and are guided by respect, compassion, and service. We don't have to use either of those, but they're samples, and they were samples given to us to encompass what I know Jen wasn't there, but the four of us agreed kind of represented our values as board members, our goals as a board, and what we sort of want our mission statement to be.
I like option one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty inclusive.
And encompasses everything I think that we
Yeah.
talked about. And
And
I feel comfortable voting without Jen.
I feel
So I was gonna say, I know Jen wasn't there, and I really appreciate
Just be
you wanting her
respectful.
included, but she was there when we set our goals, which I think incorporated in here in addition to the new values that we talked about, so I don't wanna speak for her, but she may be comfortable with that, knowing that this is also based on goals the five of us
Yeah,
decided.
and she may have seen it, you know what I mean, cause it's on there, so,
Yeah.
or I just
And
wanna
if
be
we keep
respectful.
putting it off, maybe she doesn't make the next one either, and then we keep putting it off,
Yeah.
putting it off, and it's like,
Michelle, did you wanna? do
I'll make a motion to adopt option one of for the mission statement for the school board.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna go with option one, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. New business. Yeah, the 2026 audit questionnaire.
Thank you, so our annual audit, conducted by Politic and Sanderson, was commenced in August. And as part of that audit process, we do, provide the auditors, with documentation, supporting information in, as part of that review. The auditors also request that the school board complete an annual governance questionnaire. So the questionnaire is attached, it was pre-populated with the board's responses from last year. And it was distributed via email to all the board members, for review and any revisions. So this agenda item does serve as the board's final opportunity to discuss and make any, changes that you see fit before the questionnaire is finalized. And following this meeting, I will send out the revised questionnaire to the school board chair, to sign on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Everybody have a chance to look over that to make sure that your portion is
Yep,
correct?
I did.
Maria?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, just wanted to double check.
Thank you.
Is that requiring a motion? No.
It does not.
No, okay. So I'll sign that, that's fine. And then moving forward, we have, extracurricular stipends committee recommendation.
Yeah, so per the collective bargaining agreement, an extracurricular stipend committee does convene on an annual basis. And the intent is to review the stipends and make any recommendations for changes or adjustments. That committee consisted of school board members, so in this case, Jen was able to participate. We had 4 representatives from the teachers union, Colleen, Tim, and myself. And the committee does have 2 recommendations, and that includes removing the wrestling stipend of $2,053 based on participation, and increasing the flex activity stipend by $2,053. I will note, the flex activities stipend is meant to provide funding for an activity that may be active one year but not another, or a small club that a group of students are interested in. It just gives a little more flexibility. So for instance, removing the wrestling stipend doesn't necessarily mean we can't have wrestling. If there's a group of students that show interest and we have a coach, we can absolutely have a wrestling
Bring
team.
it back, right?
It just gives us more flexibility to utilize those funds, and in the last couple of years, we haven't had a wrestling team. So.
Yeah, we just started, actually, Seabrook, we added that last year, the flex, activity stipend, so that there was money, instead of, floating back in the budget, there was an area where it needed, and I had spoke about the cheer program also, so, looking kind of to see what that will bring for the basketball season, but there is money there if something's needed. The other thing that I wanted to ask, and I don't know why it popped under this, but it did, are the schedules ready for elementary and middle school?
No.
They're not ready?
No, ours is a draft right now.
Do we know why? Is that typical?
Typically, we like to get teacher input when we come back to make any minor changes that we need to make.
So the schedules won't be set until you start school, or until you meet with them before school starts?
Before school starts.
Has this happened before, this late into the season?
Yeah.
Every year this is how
And I
we've
know
done it.
there's some things like advisory won't be there anymore, and I had asked, and I don't know if the rest of you, but we usually, when there's changes with the schedules or even draft form, the board sees it, cause there may be things that come up that, we have questions down the road with, but one of the things out was that we were going to increase the core subjects. I think it'd be nice if we just kinda knew about that. So I don't know if you can get us a draft or not, but I'd like to see the drafts of the schedules and the changes for them. So, I did ask from.
I have no idea how they set up the calendar, the schedules of the classes, I can't even imagine, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the extracurricular stipend committee recommendations as
Second.
presented.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Casey, second by Maria, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Policy JICK, first read and adoption.
Yeah, so there has been a new a change in law that relates to investigation requirements relative to bullying complaints. So this we have included the existing policy and the redlined policy that aligns with the new state law. So we are asking for you to waive policy BGAA, which requires the first and second read, and to adopt the updated policy to align with the new state law.
I mean, it's state law, the only thing I was confused on was, how do you address from students from other schools? I know it had said in there that bullying from kids from other schools.
Oh, especially like cyberbullying,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, and just, I mean, I don't know how you,
My understanding is that the principals would have to work together from
Reach
those
out.
schools.
Yeah,
If they're all in New Hampshire, we would work together. If it's across state lines, it would go to the Attorney General.
wow,
Yeah, there's
so that's even
yeah,
more on your plate
yeah.
okay.
that you have to add.
Right.
Are there any questions regarding this? No? Okay. So I will, anybody wanna, motion to waive?
I'll make a motion to waive SSB policy BGAA and approve the adoption as recommended for policy JICK, bullying prevention, pupil safety and violence prevention.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Casey, all in favor? Aye. Alright, unanimous. Alright, so, the SES 2026-2027 Student and Parent Guardian Handbook.
Motion to accept the 26-27 student parent handbook for SES.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have the SMS Parent Student Handbook 2026-2027.
Motion to accept the SMS parent student handbook 26-27.
Motion made by Maria,
I'll second it.
second by Michelle, all in favor? Oh, sorry, any discussion? No, all in favor, unanimous. And then we have Promising Futures Grant.
So there is an opportunity through the Department of Education for the Promising Futures Grant, up to $25,000, and that's intended to support family engagement. So we are seeking board's approval to apply for the grant. We have not yet applied.
You have is the grant right here, did I miss that?
It is
I haven't read
attached.
it a long time.
Yes.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can look at mine if you want to.
Okay.
And then once you guys apply, you would come back for us to motion to accept the grant.
Final approval,
Okay.
yes.
Alright, I personally feel okay with the application, as long as it comes back so that we can, ask more questions about if we receive it or not.
Yeah, like, is there a match on this? That would be the biggest question right now, is do we have to match as a,
Are we
district?
matching any funds?
Right,
I didn't see anything.
no
No, there's
matching.
there's no funds matching in it.
Nope.
It's
It's
just a
just a
straight,
flat out
yes.
grant, give it to us,
up to
thank you.
25,000 depending on the activities, that we propose.
Okay,
So, if there's no more
Motion-
questions, thank you.
Oops, sorry.
Nope, I love it,
Motion
go
to
for it.
approve the application for the Promising Futures Grant.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Michelle, second by Casey, all in favor?
aye.
Aye, unanimous, thank you. So now, thank you guys for patiently waiting, we're gonna open, public comment. Just a little ground rules, when you come up, state your name and your address. You have 5 minutes. If you're running out of time, I'll try to give you like a 30-second warning, and you can borrow 5 minutes from someone else. We ask that you are a member of the community, which I believe you guys all are, or a teacher at the school. So whoever wants to come up first, you're more than welcome. Oh, we're gonna open that at 6:12, Rhonda. Thank you.
Hold on one second, I'll just try.
Can you get your name and
Yeah, I was just getting my notes open, I'm sorry. My name's Alexis Shagman, my address is 47 River Street, I'm the parent of Paisley Joe Shagman. Good evening, I am the mother of an incoming 5th grader student, and after what my family has experienced through the special education process, I've lost faith in Seabrook schools, and I've made the decision to move my daughter to a charter school. I want to explain why. Using the district's own paperwork and timeline, my daughter went through an initial evaluation process months ago. That process had a 60-day evaluation timeline, and the completed evaluations documented significant educational concerns, including performance well below expected levels. The district had those results before the May 19th eligibility meeting. At that meeting, the district's own SLD paperwork documented findings supporting concerns about a specific learning disability. But instead of completing that determination, the district wrote in that a failed school vision screening provided by a school nurse gave the team a reason to pause regarding on an SLD identification. We took our daughter to an outside vision professional. The significant vision concerns were suggested by the school screening was not substantial. She required only mild corrective lenses, yet the district continued identifying her under other health impairment, or OHI, while the SLD determined remained unresolved, all while the district also passes years of data from services backing up the findings in these evaluations. So after the first missed 60-day evaluation window, the district already had significant evaluation results in its possession, but my child's needs were still not resolved and paused for a reason that has already been documented as incorrect. Then we had another IEP meeting on June 16th. Mary Toomey, thank you Mary for attending, was the only district team member present. We could not meaningfully review and resolve these issues when the appropriate team members were not even at the table. Why weren't they there? Where is the oversight when one person is effectively representing an entire team? That is not the legal required team attendance. I was also notified the team members would not be attending this meeting in a timely manner as the law states I should be. On June 16th, I signed consent for another round of evaluations because the district refused to use the results of the evaluations already completed and attributed the low scores to her non-existent vision issue. Still, that stated another 60-day evaluation timeline. That 60-day calendar day expired on August 15th. August 15th has passed and those evaluations are still not completed. I did not agree to extend that timeline. Now the next meeting is scheduled for September 25th. So we have gone from one 60-day evaluation process into another, and months later my child still has no completed SLD determination and still does not have the accommodation services and devices these evaluations were supposed to identify, or a properly completed IEP for her to attend and receive FAPE. And this delay now has a very real consequence. The district has known since June that I intended to move my daughter to a charter school. I made that decision because this experience with this administration has caused me to lose total confidence in that Seabrook administration could appropriately meet her educational needs, and because concerns consistent with dyslexia have been repeatedly raised, including concerns now shared by her pediatrician after reviewing the district's own evaluation data that has been in the district's possession since May, and they refuse to use. But because this process remains unfinished, my daughter cannot start at her school. Her father and I choose for her. Instead, she is being required to start 5th grade at Seabrook Middle School without accommodation services and devices we have spent months trying to establish. She is walking into school daily without the support she needs. Let that sink in. She is entering a middle school waterfall schedule with multiple teachers, frequent transitions, and less individual instructions. Let me remind you, my daughter struggles with anxiety severely. She goes from puking to nearly almost passing out. And she has to remain there until Seabrook finishes this process. Despite that fact that the district has now missed the 60-day deadline twice and is approaching a third delay if we count the time from August 15th to September 25th. That's 41 days past the second 60-day window. That is why these legal times matter. They exist so children are not left waiting while their educational needs go unmet. This board may not personally write IEPs, but you do oversee administration responsibilities for complying with IDEA, FAPE, child find, and evaluation timelines. And I need to be very clear. When families come here repeatedly describing the same patterns and missed timelines, incomplete evaluations, and delayed service, this is no longer an insulated administration issue. It's a compliance issue. One that the board has now been very aware of repeatedly. Look at these dates. May 19th, SLD determination, paused. June, the district knew she was leaving for a charter school. June 16th, additional evaluation consent. August 15th, second 60-day deadline missed. September 25th, meeting, still pending. Meanwhile, my daughter is being required to attend a school without the support that the district has not yet completed determining. This is not just a scheduling issue, it is a compliance issue, and it is directly impacting my child's right to a free, appropriate public education. And I want to address something that is often said in this room, that is not a school board issue. Respectfully, it is, because oversight is a school board responsibility. When administrators repeatedly miss federal timelines, when families repeatedly report the same violations of public meetings, and when no corrective action is visible, that becomes a governance issue.
Lex, I'm sorry to interrupt you, you have 30 seconds, or you can borrow 5 minutes from someone else.
Did somebody give me that phone?
Can you just state your name and your, is it your mom?
Judy Shagnon.
Okay. Thank you, Judy.
So my call to action is, I'm asking the board to do more than listen. I am asking you to require a formal review of evaluation timeline compliance across the district. Ensure corrective action when IDA timelines are missed, and hold administration accountable for repeatedly failures that direct impact students' access to services. And I am asking you to stop allowing this to be dismissed as not your issue. When families are standing here telling you, child by child, that it is, and it falls under your duties and obligations to the parents and taxpayers of this town. My daughter looked me in the eye the other day, and I looked at her and I said, do you want to go back to Seabrook School? And she said, Mom, I just want to go to a school where the teachers understand me. And it had tears in her eyes. That breaks my heart to have to move her from this school with all her friends and have to start her all over, especially in the middle of a school year when this could have all been resolved. I placed an email over a week ago, and I got an email back today, this morning at 8 a.m. from Mary. It was Mary something, but the only reason why I got that email was because there was a school board meeting today. And it's not okay. I'm not happy. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Well, I don't know if my mic's working.
What's your name?
Rachel McCormick, Violet Lane. Not a stranger to standing here. Thank you so much for taking a few moments to hear me out. I had something planned to say, but after hearing that, I'm just gonna kind of wing it. I also have taken my son out of this school and enrolled him into a charter school. Well, I'm attempting to. I'm being held up from doing so through the IEP process. I also had a triennial evaluation. Thank you for explaining that, Mary, by the way, that it is a team process and that the parents are part of the team, because that's not what I experienced in my IEP meeting with you on July 14th at all. A meeting that my husband was also in attendance for, where we weren't allowed to speak, we were told to stop interrupting, and we weren't allowed to question anything going on, even though we had requested the IEPT meeting. The district changed the meaning for the meeting. Prior to the meeting, we wanted to go over completed evaluations, and the district went ahead and reassigned it and said it was to go over a neuropsychological eval that they will not let go of. All 3 parents have rejected it. My son's pediatrician has rejected it and said it's not medically necessary. We were told we could not go over any of his evaluations in that meeting that we called for that exact reason, because the evaluators weren't present. However, one of the evaluators were present, but Mary would not let us discuss it. The only people in attendance in that meeting was Mary, Attorney Zellen, who represents the district, Blake, who did one of the evaluations, and an evaluator that we rejected to let our son be evaluated by. Please let me finish.
I will. I just want to remind you that you just can't talk about other.
I understand, but
I know. I have to remind you, Rachel.
You have to
Can't
understand.
say who's in a meeting.
The administrators are the problem. I said it.
Maria, excuse me.
I'll.
You can continue. I'll give you extra time too. I'm sorry, Rachel. I just have to
okay.
remind you as part of our
I
policy.
understand, I wanna go by
Thank
your
you.
procedures, 100%. That evaluator was present in that IEP meeting. We weren't allowed to go over her evaluation because we were told that the evaluators were present. I had emailed 6 times in the weeks leading up to this IEP meeting that I had requested and said specifically, this meeting's purpose is to go over the completed evaluations. The entire IEPT meeting was devoted to an evaluation that the district is so stuck on needing, even though we do not need it. We didn't get to go over anything. And basically we're told, too bad, it's not gonna happen. I think timelines are really important, and after hearing the last month kind of talk, we did get evals back from Christiane Allison before her departure on June 16th. saying, here's the 2 evals we have, we're waiting on the one you rejected, and then we'll meet and we'll go over the completed evaluations. Through the whole process between June 16th all the way up to July 14th, no other evals were put out on the table as we were waiting for them to come back. After the July meeting, I of course followed up with numerous emails, records requests, things that are still pending that I can't even get my son's records. In the meeting, I had let them know that Lorenzo was accepted into the VLAC program. It's a New Hampshire public charter school. I got contacted the first week of August and told that I needed to come down to the school to give a letter of intent to homeschool. I said, I'm confused. I'm not homeschooling. It's a charter school. Why are you asking me for this? I emailed Mary, and it was said, oh, you don't need that. You actually need to come down and do a letter of withdrawal. I said, and she stated a law that applies in the email to children who go to multiple school districts within one calendar year. I'm asking for one transfer over to another New Hampshire public school. I'm not requesting multiple transfers. I pointed that out. She told me, we need it. Then all of a sudden it's, oh, we found the records request from VLAX that you signed June 16th. This is now the first week of August. We found it, it's sufficient, we'll go ahead and send his records over. Come to find out, the district, Mary let me know, that the records request was sent to the school on July 23rd. It sat there till July 29th. Nobody forwarded it, nobody saw it. It got sent over on July 29th to another administrator, who then saw it. The email states they saw it, but they still sat on it and didn't send my son's records over. So again, we're now waiting 20 plus days in between the transfer. In the meantime, I said, we need to make sure that my son's IEP is now built around his VLAX program, not in school Seabrook schools. I was told, and I quote, I don't see how we can amend Lorenzo's IEP for VLAX when we have an outstanding evaluation that we want. That's not what the law says. It says when evaluations are completed, we must go over them. It doesn't say that the whole triennial review has to be completed to go over it. As soon as those evaluations are done, I'm supposed to be able to go over them. We're supposed to be able to amend the IEP based on them. I'm being told I can't. I'm being told my son can't have an IEP for VLAX. He's supposed to start August 31st. It's been back and forth. This is 47 instances since February. If there's one thing I do, I keep really detailed records of every communication I have. I only communicate with your school and your administrators via email. Everything's in black and white. I asked this board to sit down with me and let me show you exactly what they're doing to your parents and students behind closed doors. I was declined. Nobody will meet with me. The proof of idea and fake violations actively going on in the building. Then all of a sudden, when I was speaking with Mary about the evaluations, there's a speech eval that came up, which I thank you, Mary, for providing me with that, because inside of that eval, that evaluator, even though it was finished in May, haven't heard about it until first week of August, that evaluator did note that during one of my child's dysregulations, he was asked to go to the office, to sit in the office, after administration told me that my child's never been locked in the office. It's now inside one of his evaluations. So thank you for providing me with that. So what's happening is really happening, and you guys have sat here and refused to see the evidence. You have parents standing here telling you. I hear people saying, okay, well, we have oversight. She's the oversight. How are you letting the same person that is breaking the laws be the oversight for the laws? The gentleman you had standing here, I was disgusted when I heard it came down to a budget issue. That man is needed. The money you're spending on attorneys, you're looking at another state complaint. I have to pay for an attorney out of my pocket to sue your school. That's gonna cost way more than that gentleman standing here that will take all of the IEPs, like each and every one of you promised me months ago when we voted on it. That gentleman should take every single IEP and go through it. Pay the money now or pay it in attorneys later. In the meantime, there are kids missing out on their education. This is not a dollar thing. This is kids missing out on their education. This is kids having to go to other schools and not be with their friends and not be in their home district where they belong because the administrators you sit behind do not tell you the truth of what they're doing to these parents behind closed doors. They do not. They sit here and tell you they don't lock them in offices. That's now in an eval. They sit here and tell you they're not breaking FAPE and IDEA. I'm telling you the emails black and white. They're not hiding it. They're blatant about it because they're allowed to be blatant about it. Nobody's holding them accountable. I will stand here and be a raging lunatic for the next 10 years until you guys do something. There is a reason that WMUR is doing a news story on your school. It's not just me. I didn't contact that news. They contacted me after multiple people contacted them about what's going on in your school walls. How does everybody else know and see that this is a problem, except for the people who are supposed to hold these people accountable? That is your job. I understand in your email, you said that IEP services are not a school board issue. I'm not asking you to write IEPs, to enforce IEPs. I'm asking you to oversee the people that are, because right now, nobody is. It's the wild, wild west, and they're allowed to do whatever they want at the cost of our children, the cost of our sanity. I'm $3,000 out on an advocate that your attorney spent weeks fighting with if he was an attorney or not. My son got nowhere. That's out of my own pocket. When does it stop? You guys promised me months ago for oversight of every IEP, not just the select few that the DOE looked at. And Mary, I find it funny that you say it was just simply a documentation issue, because the letter that you responded to the Department of Education and accidentally uploaded to the Northampton Word doc site, I let you know I have internal documents that whistleblowers have provided me. I've seen what they say about my child, in private, in emails. It wasn't just a documentation issue, it was a service issue. You say it right in that letter, Mary. So to sit here in front of this board, in front of these educators, and in front of these parents and say any different, it's a spit in our face. I don't know if you've seen that letter and know which one I'm referencing. I would love to provide it to you, Lacey. See it. See the truth and see the evidence. We're not standing here because we have all the time in the world. I have kids at home that I need to go feed. I sat through your whole meeting respectfully, but quite frankly, I'm sickened at what I heard. I'm asking you. My son would like to go to his charter school so he can finally get an education where he's not locked in offices. Roll your eyes. It's fine. That's the way you've treated me the whole time my son's been a student here. I'm telling you, please take the meeting with me. I won't even say a word to you. I will slide a cross-indexed binder over the desk to you. I will let you do what everybody else who has seen that binder, I will sit there and let you read it yourself. I don't even have to say anything to you. You don't even have to know anything about special education law to see what they're doing to these kids. I've CC'd you in emails, I've BCC'd you in emails that she's doing it in.
So we're not supposed to respond.
I
But
don't know where that comes from, 'cause
Maria,
I'm
can
down.
Maria, can I please just
Yeah, but I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
respond.
Yeah, thank you. If your husband could give you 5 more minutes. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to remind you that you are more than welcome to email us, and I have an email problem because we know this, we've discussed this, so, but you can continue. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you.
No. My point is, I've sat here through several meetings where I've brought up problems, other parents have followed me, there's a mother standing here, same thing. At what point are you guys gonna recognize this isn't just you, Seabrook, and it's, hey, this is really happening to me, my family, my children. Please at least take the time for me as a taxpayer to sit down, look at the evidence, and decide for yourself. If you think I'm off base and you don't wanna hear it, at least you took the time. But think of if you take that time and find and see what these parents are actually going through, and see what's going on behind closed doors in IEP meetings. You're saving all 120 kids that are on IEPs here. You guys have already been found non-compliant. You've already failed an audit. It's a matter of time. You've already lost, how many hearings did you guys lose last year for bullying and for other things? When is enough enough? When do we hold the people that are doing these things and allowing these things accountable? That is a school board directive. You are responsible for overseeing these people to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So I'm asking you, please. I apologize, I don't remember his name. The gentleman that was up here. Wonderful idea. I don't care what it costs in tax money. Don't care. Worth every penny it's gonna save you in lawsuits anyway. Please take the meetings with the parents. Please don't ignore the emails. Please respond to them. Please just sit down and look at the emails that come right from your SAU. I don't even have to give you a secondary narrative. I will just let you read it. And as a mother, I don't know how many of you mothers sitting up here, but as mothers, you're gonna read it and you're not gonna be okay with it. I'm begging. My son's already out of the school, thank God. He does not have to return here, but he does have a baby brother. And unfortunately, I've seen the other side of Seabrook schools when kids aren't on IEPs. I see how my youngest son gets treated. Mr. Dow, you're an amazing principal. He had an amazing elementary year. I am petrified for my son to step into these doors August 31st. Not because he's on an IEP, but because I've seen what this school is capable of when they don't want to do what they're supposed to do. That's it.
So
Thank
I
you,
want to
Rachel.
respond if I could, if you could just wait a minute. From a school board member and a parent and a grandmother and an aunt and every other thing under the book. My concern is that we have a board that is not wanting to meet with you because of special education guidelines, law, whatever it is, and I understand, okay. But as a human being and as a school board member, when I receive publicly a complaint that a child, whether it happened or not, was being locked in a room, I believe it is incumbent upon every elected official to then launch, and I asked for it via email to Lacey numerous times, launch an investigation, let's see what the outcome is. Did it happen? Didn't it happen? Let the parent come and tell us her side of the story, as I would do for any other kid in the school. That was pretty intense information, not only from you, but the child themselves in June. And I don't understand what has happened here, why we're not hearing from parents when such a huge allegation is made, and why we did not pursue investigating whether it happened or whether it didn't. As far as I'm concerned, the end result is the end result, but to not even entertain, and I've been more than willing, and I will never ever refuse to hear a parent, and I don't care who it is or a child, any more than anybody sitting at this table would want to do if it was their kid. And I can bring up examples, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. We listen to school board members too when they have concerns about their own kids. And we do whatever we need to do to at least let someone be heard. Sometimes that's all it takes. And what happens at the end is it happens. But to not address it at all, I can tell you I have been extremely shocked. And I'm sorry your boy had to leave. Because I want to keep kids here and I want to help kids and I want to make this the best school around where kids want to be and parents want to be. Not because certain kids are getting what they need, but all kids. And I'm sorry that this board, for whatever reason, will not give you that meeting to be heard or investigate anything that was brought to a public school board meeting. It shocks me because if anything happens down the road to another kid, same situation, it's on every single one of us sitting here, because we did nothing to make sure it didn't happen or it did happen. And that's my point.
Thank you, Rachel.
If I may, just to respond to Mary, I do appreciate you taking this so seriously and taking the time for my son. I really do. I appreciate everybody that allows me to stand here. I know sometimes hearing the bad parts of things isn't the easiest, but sometimes you have to hear the bad parts to fix them. Sweeping them under the rug and pretending they don't happen behind closed doors doesn't fix them, and it doesn't fix it for all the kids in this school and the ones coming up. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to point fingers at people and say this is wrong. I'm simply saying this is why this is happening, and please address it for the next ones that are coming up. I don't know what else to say. I've begged, I've pleaded. My son has stood here and begged and pleaded you, and nothing. And like she said, it's gonna come a full circle moment. Parents are sick of it, and it's gonna end in legal. That's it.
Thank you, Rachel.
So Lacey, with
Maria,
that
I wanna
said-
respond to you about
Yeah,
that.
can I ask you though, while she's still here, I have a quick question. You were going to, you said last email I got from you, you were gonna poll the board to have them vote whether or not to meet with, Mrs. McCormick. You were gonna get in touch with her and let her know. Can we do that right now?
So we can, but I do want to, I just wanna bring something to the attention of the public. So Maria just talked about some things about how what did you accuse me of? Not responding or not allowing an investigation?
No, I'm not.
I just want you to be specific.
Okay, so us as a
Thank you.
school board, what I said is when a situation comes in front of us at a public school board meeting and it's brought to our attention, and I didn't say just you, it's incumbent upon the board to at least, at the very least,
So
look for an internal
that's not what
investigation
that
to
was
make
not what I was
sure.
asking. I was asking because, you said that you have sent several emails to me to require an investigation to be done.
To ask to meet with the parent.
Oh, okay, cause you didn't, I was just wanted to clarify, cause
And
you
then
never
I did,
requested
if
for
you
an
go back and
investigation.
look, and I will correct you on that, cause I think
So,
I
it's,
did ask you.
instead of the back and forth, we met before our retreat, we met with, our legal in a non-meeting about several different things. Maria, you refused to go to that meeting.
No, excuse me, she
No,
wants to
she
say.
chose
She chose not to be a part
What time
of
did you go in the meeting?
we waited for you and you came in here and you sat
I
down
got
and
out
I
of
came
work
out and I
came
said,
here 15 minutes before you were finished, Lacey, and I tell you.
Not
We
true.
didn't even start.
That's
Straight
not
up, well, I
true.
didn't know you didn't start, you were
You
behind
did because
closed
I-
doors.
no, and I said, Maria, we're in here, the door was open, I said, Maria, we're in here, you said, yup, you walked past us,
Actually,
you
the door
sat
was
here,
locked.
excuse me, I'm talking, it wasn't locked. You came in here, you sat down, I came out, Meredith and Rhonda were here, and I said, hey Maria, we're in the conference room for a non-meeting with legal, you said, I'm all set.
Yeah, it was
I'm
4:05, a meeting was to
Nope,
begin
it
at
was,
4:30.
nope, it was 4:30,
No,
we
it
were
wasn't.
waiting for you,
So,
you
Lacey,
walked
you know what?
by,
I got a big
but stop
show.
lying
Keep
though,
going. No
stop
one's
lying,
lying.
you are lying, because you
Are they
refused to meet with
lying?
non-leaders.
Are those parents
I don't
lying?
know.
It was
Do you
recommended that
care
we
to find
not.
out?
Anyway, we're gonna
Do you
stop.
care to find out?
It was recommended to us to
Thank
not
you.
take
This
private
is just
meetings
crazy.
with parents or staff because it does put the board in the school. And I understand your point about
Thank you,
other
Casey.
legal ramifications, but for that particular situation, not you, any parent, any staff, it puts the board and the school in a position where there could be legal ramifications and held liable for things that are outside our purview as far as special ed law. So it was recommended to us at that point not to hold a meeting privately with anybody.
With anybody.
And special
And
education
also, special ed
recommendations.
is governed by the federal government.
Yeah,
And
But
your
an
staff is
investigation.
governed by you.
Right,
If you know they're
exactly.
doing things illegal.
And so we specifically brought up concerns around staff, asked legal what that would look like, and legal responded to us that if it was referencing policy or procedure, that there may be or may not be actions that the board can take, but that complaints such as these should be going directly to the DOE or the special ed,
That's-
starting with the special ed team, but as it works up to the DOE.
That's easy for you guys to sit here and say, not realizing that a DOE filing is like $20,000 to $30,000 out of a parent's pocket while you're being defended by my tax money with an attorney. So that's disheartening to hear. At the end of the day, there is policies that they're breaking. So if that's what you'd like to meet me under, is the policies that they're breaking, I'll take that meeting also. Because it's not just federal law they're breaking, it's your own policies that they're breaking. And like I said, it's not a short list. This is very real and happening in your school. And to sit here and say, because the attorney told me no, because it has to do with idea and faith, this is one of your students. You're allowing this person to make the calls. What's gonna happen with these children, and there's no accountability. Just go to the state, file another state complaint. Issue a lawsuit. Did you see how counterproductive that is? I've just sat here for an hour and a half and listened to you guys cry about being out of money. Yet you, go ahead and take us to the DOE. Go ahead and sue us. Do you see how counterproductive that is? Something that could be just fixed by, hey, this is what's going on. I get you have legal things that you have to stand by. but do you see how backwards that is for parents? That instead of saying, hey, this staff is not acting appropriately and this is not going well, can we see if we can adjust it and meet in a middle ground? You guys are just, I mean, Meredith said it best. There's other resolutions, go to the Department of Education. I have no problem going to the Department of Education. I've already been threatened with truancy. I've been threatened with due process because I refuse to subject my son to an evaluation that he doesn't need. I have no problem with that. I'll sit in front of a hearings officer and he will look at my binder. The Department of Education will look at my binder. What comes after that is on each and every one of you. I gave you every opportunity to stop this now and to put an end to it and stand up to these people for these kids. And I want you to remember you chose not to because a lawyer told you not to. Because of liability. Not because you cared what happened to these kids, because of liability. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Rachel.
And I will go back to Lacey and I will ask the question, in your meeting with, non-meeting with legal, do you have it in writing? Because as a board member, I've not seen anything where Bob Casassa said
We can't
cannot
discuss
meet.
non-meeting during.
No, but
You
we,
should have been there.
nothing meeting, Michelle, and you know what, how about talking about
Okay,
why
point
you
of
don't-
order, we're not doing this, this
You
isn't
want
turning
to
into
meet for
this.
the role of school board members, we cannot do that in non-public, and I told you that. So,
wasn't
It wasn't a
Lacey, back to
non-public, it
you.
was a non-meeting.
Back to you, I want to ask you, you set this up, you created it, and you need to answer to it. You're telling this parent that an attorney, well, Casey did actually, that an attorney told us, given the facts that were brought to us at a public meeting, we cannot meet with that parent, not about special education, because we really have no say over what those IEPs at all, state law, but
We didn't
we
discuss
have a
that.
say
We didn't
over
discuss the other
accountability.
situation.
We didn't discuss
We have
private situations.
accountability, if that happened, if it was your kid or anybody else's, you would ask the same. And I am again standing that I would rather doubt that Mr. Casassa said the board
You should have
cannot
been at the
hear
meeting.
that parent. Lacey, I was at work, I came in late, and I'm not gonna keep saying it. You should
That's
have
a
been
lie.
at the meeting and you should be.
I was at the meeting.
Lacey, you're a lie. Why aren't you letting this person meet with us? Why don't you tell the truth?
What's what's your version of,
No,
okay, I'm
you
not
tell
engaging with you,
You
you're
tell
really
them.
good at getting people to engage
Yeah,
with you
you're really
by
good at
being
putting people out
wild.
of the room too, but you're not gonna me.
I'd love to.
No, thank you
Do
for
it
your,
closed.
yeah, does anybody else, someone else have, public comment?
So you're still refusing to meet with Mr. McCormick, Mrs. McCormick?
The whole board, we can make a motion right
Go
now.
ahead, take a vote, that you will not meet regarding the
I want you guys to look at me when
investigation.
you say you won't. Go ahead and take the vote.
Yeah, go ahead, Lacey.
We can still
We're not
take
taking a
complaints.
You don't want
We
to
can
do
take
that.
complaints without meeting with people. We were advised, like Casey had said, by
About
legal,
IEP.
continuously, no, Maria, you weren't at the
She
meeting.
just said it,
No, I didn't.
No, she did not.
I said any private
special
meeting,
education.
I said any private meeting with a parent or a staff member, and we were informed that that is not recommended to do.
You said in reference
You
to
did.
IEP.
And then
You
you
did.
asked a question about specific special ed, and then I said in reference to IEPs, because I brought that up and said, wait, does this change that recommendation, not specific to, just in general, if it's a complaint about special ed, was told that if it's policy or procedure, that it may or may not fall under board purview, but special ed has its different set of, I don't know,
Rules.
procedures, I guess,
Yeah.
procedures, and that there is a chain of commands outside of the school board where the school board does not fall in that chain of commands at all. That's
So
what
if
I
I'm
said.
standing here saying to you now, I would like to discuss the procedural and district policy violations me and my child have experienced due to your staff, will the board take my meeting?
The meeting has nothing to do with special ed. Whether your complaint is about the floors are too slippery or the parking, we were advised not to take any private meetings at all, for any purpose, with parents or staff.
And we have many a times in the past with Bob present, I can tell you.
It doesn't.
I just want
Also,
to understand this as a taxpayer,
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. So, you're a school board that's supposed to govern the school and the teachers and the administrators. There's issues going on and you're specifically saying you won't meet with any parents. So what are we
Privately.
voting as school board for?
Privately.
I'll stand in the middle of public comment and meet with you and show you my evidence, I don't care. At some point, I just want it in front of you so you can see what these people are doing to these children.
You can send it at any time, Rach. You can email it to us right
You
now
can
if you
request
wanted
a
to.
public meeting if Lacey doesn't wanna honor the non-public. For,
No,
not
we're not.
for the special
I don't
education,
think it's accusatory.
not for the special education.
I just want a straight
You're being
answer.
accusatory.
I don't need argument, I just need an
I'm
answer.
doing my job, Michelle.
Okay.
No. Okay, we need to move forward.
You tell me what to do and I'll jump through hoops. What would you like me to do? Do you want me to email you everything specifically, all
So-
800 pages of it?
I would rather have a meeting and not have that over email with Bob and Rachel, if she agrees.
I don't
to
care if
talk
your
about
attorneys are
that.
present, I don't care who's present,
He
sit down with
usually
me.
We were, so I'm gonna nip this in the bud right now. We were advised not to meet with anybody at our last one meeting by our attorney. The three of us were there. 2 members did not show up. We were advised not to meet with students, parents, teachers, staff, anybody in private as a school board. And that's what I am gonna stick to.
You were recommended not to, right?
We were advised.
So how does anything ever get resolved?
And
You
it
can
just-
file a complaint with, and that how it gets
With the
resolved.
Department of Education and spend.
No, with that, you can easily email us, Rachel, a complaint.
I've
to be
tried, all of
investigated.
your emails bounce back. The only one that goes through is yours and Maria's. Everybody else I get a bounce back. I have 3 email addresses for you that are found on the district website that bounce back every time.
Okay, I'll
Please,
genuinely look into
somebody
that.
send me everybody's correct email addresses and I will file the complaint with you.
Okay,
So I am gonna make a
Whatever it takes.
motion.
okay.
I'm gonna
Thank you,
make a
Rachel.
motion to meet with
This is getting out of control.
Mrs. McCormick and our attorney, because she agreed that that would be fine, to hear the piece that we are legally allowed to hear and not the special education piece. And that is my motion, and now it's on the rest of you to say
Alright,
yes or no.
motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Of course not. Of course not. It's not
No,
your
we
case.
don't. Motion fails. Public comment is still open.
Kelly Cooper, 96 Farm Lane. So I don't wanna continue this conversation, but I'll just say, when we were on the board together, we did have meetings with parents. There was an original situation where we wanted to meet with a parent, and she wanted to talk in public, and there was an agreement that we would meet her in non-public. We also were advised on the board that they didn't recommend exiting interviews. But then when the attorney was with us alone, with no administration, we said that if we wanted to do exiting interviews, we could, that we should, okay, we had exiting interviews.
No, I know, I was there.
But we were originally advised not to, when administration didn't support it. But then when we had the administration not in the room, we obviously were told we could because we had them. So, I'm not gonna ask who the attorney is, because I already know, obviously, it was already said. Not surprised, but you guys, we've, not just when I was on the board, but there's other people that have been on the board here that we've had meetings with staff and family members. And just so that you know, I don't mean to make it sound like that, I don't mean like that, but I watched the hearings of the Department of Education with the cases here that you guys were not informed of. And Hampton Falls actually met with a parent, and it was told right in the Department of Education, with the board privately. So why is it Hampton Falls is allowed to, but we can't? And then the other thing I'll touch on is that I watched the Department of Education hearings, and they actually asked the parent, with the child's name that is gonna be announced in public, do you want to go public, or would you like it non-public? And she said, I'll go public, and her child's name was right out in public. So I find it interesting that the Department of Education can do it, Hampton Falls can meet with the parent, yet Seabrook is advised not to. And I just think that, and you know, I will say this in your defense, Lacey, I've seen it with other chairs, and I'm not insulting you because you're doing what you're told. Why are you rolling your eyes?
Oh, I'm just getting ready for it.
For what?
It's who you're getting your information from. And clearly the information you're getting is from people that are not being honest with you. And I witnessed in that Department of Education meeting, and I'll show you the video, that same person threw the Department of Education, the Hampton Falls School Board under the bus. She said, I only go in as a neutral party, I give no advice, and they tell me what to do. That board was told what was recommended. They did not make the decision on their own. I'm saying this in public. I don't have a problem saying it because I'm not lying. But the only reason why that one case got resolved was because that Department of Education said, right in a public meeting on TV, in a Zoom, you can go look it up, the next meeting we have, I want that board here. And he said, and I advised you, when you walk out that door, he didn't say if you don't want the board to come with you, but he advised, it's not too late to fix this before the next meeting, and guess what? It got fixed, because if it didn't, guess who was gonna show up at that meeting and find out exactly what was going on? Because they were also told that, it was told to the Department of Education that the board had a problem because of the child's behavior, and that the information about that child's behavior was given by the parent, because they questioned, well, who gave the school that information about his behavior? The parent. Well, the parent was right there and said, I can show you everything I showed them. There was nothing in there about his behavior. So you guys can roll your eyes, think that I'm full of it. I'm trying to save you from getting thrown under the bus. Because you're doing what you think is right, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're told, you're the board, and if these decisions are yours, they're not gonna care what you were told by an attorney or superintendent. And so anyway, I didn't come up here for that. So I just have a question, a couple actually. So I just wanted to touch base on, Mary, when you mentioned that you would never bill out services that were not performed or documented, yet the audit, that the complaint that was filed with the Department of Education was filed in April 2025, and it was in regards to services from September of 24 to May of 25. So you didn't even know there was documentation missing on all those services until almost a year later after they were already billed. So that is not necessarily the case. And I know how billing works. The claim goes out to Medicaid, not the documentation. The claim gets processed. If they come back, if the student is eligible, they come back, if there's an audit or have any questions, and ask to review the documentation. It's just like a doctor's office. They get the codes, they don't get the documentation. The only time they get the documentation is when they do an audit. And there's no way that you can stop a billing to go through without documentation when you don't even know that there's documentation missing on 21 IEPs. So I beg to differ. The other thing is that, Matt, you had mentioned that there's $400,000 that is needed for 3 out-of-placement districts. Are these new students?
I believe they're all existing.
They what, existing?
I'm sorry,
I can't clarify, but I'm not sure that
No,
we're
it's
supposed to
fine.
be responding, so.
You can answer that, it's a finance question, it's public knowledge.
Well, it's at the board's discretion whether they want us to
Right.
answer, so my
The
apologies.
board doesn't
Well,
need to
you're the
respond, but
one with the
administration
answer, not
can.
me. I don't have it.
The board has the discretion to allow us to respond to the public comment, so
You're too busy on
If
your phone,
you-
right? Is my son one of the out-of-district placements? Cause you guys tried to get an out-of-district.
Alright, we
placement.
can't,
Yeah.
Rachel, you can't yell out in the
No,
middle.
answer.
Point of order, please.
Can Matt
I'm
answer?
trying to talk to Matt, thank you, Maria.
Yep.
Matt, if you feel comfortable answering, you can answer, or that's how I feel.
I'm looking for an answer.
One is, was an incoming student.
so 2 are existing and 1 is incoming.
Okay, so the 2 that are existing, are they services that we no longer provide? Are they services that we have in place?
I feel like this is.
Yeah, this is-
No, I'm asking, huh?
I don't feel like these specific questions are relative to public, like those are students' individual needs, I don't think
I've
that's
seen
appropriate.
I
this
think
in
it would,
public and
it would
share
probably
before
be
you
better
were
to ask
born.
that in an email
And shit,
Right in public.
But when you have,
first off, what I've done privately as a parent is not relative, but Kelly's not discussing her child, she's discussing somebody else's child. It's different.
I'm referring to my tax dollars.
I understand that, and I'm
For
not,
services
and
that
asking, but-
I've been told we thought for years were being received and given, provided, that there was no documentation. So if as a taxpayer, if we're told that we need an additional $400,000, I'm not asking for a student, I'm not asking for, I'm simply asking, do we not provide those services? Is that why? I mean, I don't understand, like, do you think that if you went in front of the budget committee and they asked you those questions, that you'd be able to say,
But the reason why a student is placed out of district
Yep.
is the own student's diagnostic, academic, development, whatever, their needs. So that is very specific to the student.
okay,
It's not, did we bill OT and we have an OT, why are we billing for an OT if we have an OT? It's this student's needs could not be met in this public education setting for whatever reason, that's between the student's family and team, and now needs to be placed in a different setting where those needs can be met.
right, but if we're paying the tax dollars on why that child's going out of district, we should simply know, is it because we don't provide the services? Was it the services were for a student that we should have provided and we didn't, so now they're being granted out of district services because we were found in non-compliance? I mean, we should, if we're paying $400,000 additionally out of the budget for 3 students that need to go outside, yet we have been told that we have a program and programs and that we've put into place to save money to prevent these kind of services, there's something that's, you just don't all of a sudden have 3 students that are costing $400,000 at the drop of a hat without us knowing that there's something else here. So if one is a new student and 2 are presently in the school, there's gotta be a reason. You're not giving us any information. You're basically saying as a taxpayer, we have to send them out because of this, and this. So that we know in the future, maybe we do need to get these programs. I mean, how do we?
So I don't mean to interrupt you, Cal,
Yeah.
but I think before when we talked about the 400, we were talking about, Maria had asked a couple questions, but correct me if I'm wrong, you said that this 400 isn't because of, thank you, any, like, can you say that word again?
Yeah, no, I wasn't,
Services. Or
insinuating
that it was,
No.
so I'm just trying to remember
No,
what you
those are
said.
makeup services. I'm asking.
Right,
Is this a situation where a parent, I'll just say it, has a parent requested to put their kid out of district and that we have to do it?
no, we can't,
Yeah,
we should not answer
All right,
that.
thank you, that's all I
Thank you,
wanted to
Kelly.
ask.
When I want to respond, Kelly, before you leave the podium, I have a few things to
Because
say.
that's definitely a huge concern to me.
Yeah,
I know that you're
so,
not adding it up,
Cal,
but that's definitely a huge concern to me because,
Your 5 minutes are up.
okay,
but I want to respond, and that 5-minute stuff, I'll
I
probably
see.
that gets me, but anyways, I wanted to touch on a couple things because you're here and because you took the time to speak for public comment. You waited an hour and a half before you could speak, which is not the norm for us. I wanted to share something with you all before you leave. We had a retreat on the 11th. And we had admin, and this was public, although Dan, do you know when that recording is gonna come out, speaking of it? Well, I'm touching base on
We
this.
heard back something, and then I'll post. It's already
Okay.
up and
Oh,
unlisted,
perfect.
or private, and as
Thank
soon as
you.
I hear
So
back
you-
on one issue,
Good, you can all watch it and see for yourself, but I wanted to share that. Admin shared with us something that I thought was like very heartfelt. It's difficult for them to be able to speak when people come up for public comment and say things that they would like to share something or say something, and they can't. So that goes back to me saying this: if we were affording you as a board, with a meeting on an admin situation, whether it's a superintendent, whether it's Colleen, whether it's Tim, and we all sat in a room together with that parent, and they then could have that conversation, and we could hear the admin, and we could hear the parent, you know, nothing for nothing, and I'm gonna go back and say, sometimes it's just being heard, that's all, and then things resolve on their own, and guess what, we never hear another word again. But because the board refuses to do that, it doesn't allow the admin to say anything. It doesn't allow the parent to feel as though they've been heard, so to me, that's a letdown, because that's our job. And the other thing, that I wanted to share with you, so I got a newsletter from Casey earlier, and it's welcoming back the students to school. Her biggest piece of her newsletter in green was about public comment, people speaking, not speaking, and I said, oh, that doesn't look welcoming to me, so I sent in a piece that I thought was more, you know, if you've got a policy issue, put it down in the corner or whatever, but we're welcoming our kids and our staff back to the school. So I wrote something that I feel was uplifting. Okay, we got a new school year with everybody, welcome back, let's focus and, you know, really make this a great year, and it was short, but Michelle tuned in and said, Casey, this is perfect, great, thank you. I'm at a board meeting right now, hearing the difference between we want public comment and we don't have a choice, right? We know we have to have public comment.
No one said we didn't want public comment.
Right.
Right.
But
Continually put
when we're
words in
doing
our
a welcome and school letter and we're basing it on public comment from Casey Hashem, a board member, we all should want to be a part of that in a welcoming sense. I don't wanna be chastising parents and community and then asking for a vote to vote the budget in. I wanna be welcoming to the student, staff, and the parents. So I just want you to all know that's an email and it should be part of the record, honestly, cause it is part of the meeting and it shouldn't be in the email.
It was
But
part of the meeting.
It was part of the
You
meeting.
left,
You
and
left
we
early.
discussed doing something, and everybody has a lot on their plate, and I offered to draft something and email it to everybody so that I could get everybody's feedback today, and then finalize something with everybody's feedback so that we could get it out when school starts.
And yours
So I
was
took it
based
upon
on
myself.
public comment.
We discussed that
That's what we
during the
discussed.
retreat.
Well,
in the
it's too
meeting.
bad, because we should be basing it on the staff and the students. And-
Well, she took the initiative to do it, where sometimes there have been things thrown out there
If you
to
would like to
say
do it,
that.
feel
I
free.
will do it,
That's
not a
fine.
problem. Pass it along. I think, but if you've all read what I wrote, it was nothing to do with public comment, nothing to do with policy, it was, let's look at a positive new year.
Alright.
So we wanted to discuss public comment so that this type of, thing could be stopped. The
Stop.
back and forth, the negative, the accusatory,
The negative.
the back and forth, like, so that would be stopped and then we could do public comment efficiently and respectfully, and that would give everybody the opportunity to have a public comment and it wouldn't turn into
But why
a
is
back and
that,
forth.
why is that a welcoming to school letter? That is.
That, if
absolutely
we discussed
nothing to
it,
do with
Maria, that's,
Nothing to do with that, Lacey, I'm sorry.
but
It's
you
just
just
the
brought,
way
you
we
just brought it
chat.
up, it hasn't been ratified, it was a draft, we talked about it. So, I don't understand why,
Well,
It's a-
if Casey wants to hand it over, I can have that piece, can you have that?
okay, so if there's anybody else,
So I just wanna say lastly, is that before the budget committees come forward, because I know that now the budget.
Kelly, your 5 minutes are up, thank you.
Well, can I ask a question about the budget, 'cause I think it's important?
I think we should
Yes.
public comment, move on to.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for public
Personnel.
comment? Okay, I'm gonna close public comment at 7:07. Maria, you have a question?
Wait, I'll wait till you get to it, go ahead.
Okay, next on the agenda is personnel. So we have, okay, it's right out in public, alright.
Yeah, resignation.
Alright, so we have, sorry, my computer's just being a little slow. We have a resignation from, sorry, let me get in there. Katrina O'Brien, which we spoke about earlier.
I make a motion to
Yeah,
accept
thank
the
you.
resignation of Katrina Mailman O'Brien effective June 30th, 2026.
Can we give a second for conversation, cause I'd like to comment on that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I would like to, comment on that again, what a loss for the Seabrook Elementary School, for the community at large, cause the outreach that she had with the community during her band things and her, all the grades really, is been phenomenal. She has shined a light on our school, and I can hear her song playing right now about Seabrook with the kids holding up the signs, and I, in my lifetime, have never seen anything so like touching and outreach and community, and I just wanna say, I don't know who we're gonna fill her shoes with, but it's gonna be a tough fill, and that's all I just wanted to say.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. So a motion was made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Next we have a resignation for our school psychologist.
I motion to accept the resignation of Lisa Ville-Marie, effective June 30th, 2026.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Casey, all in
Can I
favor?
ask a question? Yeah. Is this the one that works for SAU 21? Or
No.
is she ours?
She's a school, our school
Just the school,
psychologist.
okay. Yep, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then ratification of nominations.
That I think you have to.
Yeah, we'll do that in
non-public first and then come
public,
back out.
yep. Future meetings, our next school board meeting is Tuesday, September 15th at 4:30. And then I just need a motion to go into non-public.
I'll make a motion for a roll call to enter non-public session under RSA 91-A32B at 7:10 PM.
Okay. Do I have a second or a roll call?
I'll second it.
Maria,
Yes.
Lacey,
Yes,
Casey,
Yes.
and Michelle.
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Alright, thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Mary.
Do you guys mind if I just run to the restroom real quick? Thank you. Alright, we're good, thanks, Deanne. Alright, let's see,
Okay, you have to take a vote to come out.
yes, motion to close non-public session and resume the public meeting at 7:31. Do I have a second?
Yep.
Second, all in favor?
So you motioned it?
I motioned it and then,
You're just ahead of me, that's all.
sorry,
Alright.
okay, and then Maria second,
Okay. And is that unanimous?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Alright, do I have a motion for the SES school counselor?
I'll make a motion to ratify the superintendent's nomination, hiring of Audrey Duzanis for the SES school counselor position for the 2026-2027 school year.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? Unanimous.
Okay.
So I'll make this motion to ratify the superintendent's nomination, hiring of Brianna Mancini as a school nutrition director for the 2026-2027 school year. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Casey, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
You guys are quick.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'll slow down. Do I have a motion for special service director?
Motion to ratify the superintendent's nomination and hiring of Mary Holland as the special service director for the 2026-2027 school year.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Michelle second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And, yeah, do I have a motion for SES, music teacher?
Motion to ratify the superintendent's nomination and hiring of Grace St. Laurent as the SES music teacher for the 2026-2027 school year contingent upon her release from her prior employer.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Michelle, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Alright, and then motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:33.
Second.
Second by Maria, all in favor?
Aye.